White. Wide open, Torrence! Oh, baby! Touchdown! How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You show, and that's what we do! Cat!
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Happy Tuesday, November 14th. Welcome to Bankroll Blitz right here on Pub Sports Radio. Week 11 awaits our breakdowns and decisions and opportunities to get paid. I'm coming off a horrible week. This is the second time this has happened this year. Week 2, now week 10. Just crushing defeats. We had a huge night on the live stream last night with everything cashing, everything live, and same game parlay live, and that helps. That helps. But Troy, I got crushed 3-8 minus 5.7 units, and now I'm in the red on the year. And weeks like this are tough to take, man. They're tough to handle, and it's been weighing on me. Thank God for last night's live stream. That kind of got me out of my funk, but I took it right in the ye old prison pocket, and I'm a little I don't know what the right word is. I'm just I think I was overconfident coming into last week's show. We'd had a bunch of winning weeks in a row, and I got crushed. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm kind of the opposite. I was having a great week up until that live show yesterday, because as you know, and anyone who listens or follows me, they know I like the Bills. And I got punched in the mouth. It sucks. Anything can happen in a football game. And take the conviction that we have on this with, all the confidence that we show. Take it with a grain of salt, But this is what we do, is we give down our opinions and our breakdowns on this. You never know what could happen. Inept coaching, fumbles, interceptions, shit happens. You can only beat variance with sample size, man. So let's keep hitting it home.
Yeah, let's get right after it. You're still having a strong year, up 7.05 units, with 187 bets. I mean, that's ROI plus 3.77%. That's where a pro wants to be. So you're still having a great year. I've dipped under into the red, 63 and 59, 51.6%, minus 2.07 units. ROI minus 1.70%, average line minus 110. Shout out to all the cappers in the chat. It is great to see all of you guys. We got Mac Beavers in the house. Says Troy Torrence, I have you cashed on your rare overbet in Seahawks Commanders. I'm sure you were sweating it for a bit. Yeah, I thought we were going to lose that. It was just, oh, God. Spenny Penny Bombs in the house. WT joining us from Costa Rica. Al Cervic ready to get to work. There's Sammy Calmer, Dennis Garcia, Birdie. Great group. Great to see all of you guys. Thank you for being here. And Dennis Garcia says first time since this September that he's more than 2 overs on his card. He does like several unders though. And he says he hates this card from a side perspective. One thing I do after, having a horrible week is I didn't come in here with action. So this is the first week in a while I haven't. I'm going to talk the games out with you guys and then decide how to move.
I was thinking about doing the same thing, but I was like, holy shit, if I don't take this 3.5 on the Browns or this 3 on the Eagles, I'm going to regret that shit later. So I had to go ahead and bite the bullet.
There were a couple spots I thought about too, but I just decided to stay off until we talk it all out. Let's do a quick review of the week that was. I went 3-8. The Patriots money line loser. That's got me off to that bad start. And then 2 unders where I just couldn't have been more wrong. The market went against me, and I was just wrong. Baltimore, Cleveland under 37.5 was horrific. New York Giants, Dallas under 38.5 was horrific. It was 7-0 after the first quarter, and I was like, this is exactly what I thought, and I was expecting cash, and everything fell apart. Washington, Seattle, first half over 22.5 was a loser. Washington, Seattle, full game over 45.5 was a winner. Saints minus 2.5, atrocious. The Chargers bet upset me the most because I had wait in capital letters. Wait. And of course, I just, excited, wanted to get action in, bet it at 2.5.
That's the thing, though. 2 is becoming more and more imperative, though. Like 2.5 matters. So I get you, but I'm always the guy that doubles down. I didn't do it on the Browns, but I had already put two units on Browns plus 6, seen the 6.5. Usually I double down on it. Didn't do it, but I did it with the Chargers and just pushed on it. So
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Unfortunate. It could have easily got the 3, could have got the push, and that's just cost me $250 just being irresponsible and just ignorant. Just you gotta keep your cool. I know. Yes, it's fun to press a button. Yes, it's fun to have action, but the market was moving against me. Just wait. All I had to do was wait. Atlanta -2 is a loser. Tampa Bay -2.5 was a winner. The Jets money line loser, and then Denver +7 was a winner. For you, Troy, as always, a huge amount of action for you. 9-11, you went down 3.04 units. Your list a little longer. Bears money line, DJ Moore, 40 plus receptions, cash. Colts -1, cash. 49ers first half -1.5. 49ers -3, cash. Browns +6, cash. Then Saints -2.5. We were both on the wrong end of the Joshua Dobbs magic. Bengals -1, Chargers +8.5. The Bengals hurt you on that teaser and that lost. You lost that first half over in the Seahawks Commanders game, but you cashed the full game over. You lost Chargers money line. You pushed Chargers +3. You lost Jets -1.5. You cashed the Raiders Jets under 37. You cashed the Jets +7 and the under 41.5, same game teaser. Brees Hall over 69.5 was a loser. The Jets money line with Hall over and O'Connell under lost. Bills first half -4. Bills -7.5. Bills and Diggs. Bills -8.5. Those were losers.
Jesus.
The Bills.
Jets and Bills, my God.
Yeah.
Hearing about it, just making me cringe. And, up until that point, if you follow me too, I hammered it. I put a lot of money on the 49ers and the Browns. And then I just, was feeling fat and happy on that Bills game was coming around. I started doubling down and got into some trouble, man. So, shit.
It happens. And then James Cook had a big bounce back after the fumbleitis. Over 78.5 rushing receiving got you to cash. All right, let's get to work. Thank you guys for joining us. It's great to see all of you guys. Terry Walker also rolling with us. WT also had a rough Sunday. College and exotic saved the bankroll. Yeah, college was good. CFL was great. NFL was not so good, but I got a lot of it back last night live. Let's roll and get into this. Thank you guys for joining us. We got some huge games ahead of us, some really exciting and fun breakdowns. So let's get right after it. We start at 8:15 p.m. Eastern with the Cincinnati Bengals 5-4, 2-2 on the road at the Baltimore Ravens, 7-3, 3-2 at home. We're at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland, 52 Fahrenheit clear, 2 miles per hour. Beautiful football weather for this one. Let's get a look at the line history here and then fire away. We'll start with the spread. This opened up at a 4, -4 for the Ravens. And now we're down to 3.5. The 4 only lasted for 18 minutes. Took 18 minutes for that 4 to become a 3.5. That's where it stayed. The 3.5 started getting juiced immediately and came back. There's been U-shaped movement on it. Right now, it's just slightly juiced. So Bengals are sitting at +3.5. I don't have my totals up here, so let me get back to spreads there. And from a total side of things, we are sitting at 46, juice to the under. This opened up at 44.5, so we've gone up 1.5 on the total. Let's get over to the cash flow here. All markets. Cash-wise, we have 73% of the tickets and 86% of the cash on the Bengals. Let's move the half point in their direction. Then you have 63% of tickets and 71% cash on the over, and it's moving towards the over. This is all pretty explanatory. There's TransCanada in the house. Dennis Garcia is on Cincinnati, Baltimore under 46. Says Baltimore defensive line should win. If they're right and Baltimore is winning, they can shorten the game in the second half. I don't get the over move. Cincinnati's defense will be fine. Spenny Pennybaum's got the Bengals +4. Terry Walker says bounce back for Ravens. Well, they're both in situations where they need to bounce back. And Brady says Hendrickson and Humphrey's injuries are most likely the reason for that. Let's talk all about the situation and then hand it over to our guy, Troy. 2 very good teams coming off surprising home losses. Bengals had their 4-game winning streak snapped in a 30-27 home loss to the Texans. They got gashed, and the defense got gashed and couldn't make stops. The Texans put up 544 total yards on the Bengals. Texans had 28 first downs. The Bengals' suspect pass defense now ranked 25th in the league, allowing 247.8 passing yards a game. The Texans had 356 yards passing against these Bengals. Now, can the Ravens do the same thing against the Bengals? The Ravens are ranked 20th. They get 207.8 passing yards a game, and they've only averaged 185 over their last 3 games. So the answer is probably no. Against the Texans, Burrow was 27 of 40 for 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he threw back-to-back interceptions in the fourth quarter. One was in the end zone. Jamar Chase, 5 catches for 124 yards and a touchdown. I was telling everybody all week that he was going to play. He's one of those guys that having that kind of injury cloud hanging over him, he's just going to step up and be a monster. Higgins dealing with a hamstring injury. He's not expected to play again. Higgins was not available last week. Tyler Boyd came up big as WR2. He caught 8 passes for 117 yards. Joe Mixon ran 11 times for 46 yards and touchdown. We've been saying all year that this Bengals run game hurts them. Last in the league, averaging 74.8 rushing yards per game. So they struggle running the ball, the Bengals. They also struggle stopping the run. That's the angle that's going to hurt them most here. They rank 30th, allowing 136.2 yards per game. And that plays right into the hands of the Ravens, who lead the league, averaging 154.9 rush yards per game. Against the Texans, the Bengals couldn't put pressure on Stroud. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. Bengals held the Texans to 3 of 5 in the red zone. They're 13th in the league, allowing touchdowns on just 51.4% of opponent opportunities. But Trey Hendrickson suffered the hyperextended knee. No word on how much time he'll miss, but he's going to miss time, and he won't be in the lineup, of course, Thursday. And they're already without Sam Hubbard. So now you have Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard out, 2 defensive ends that are very important. He's listed as questionable this week, but the short week will make it difficult for him to be back. The Ravens coming off a 33-31 home loss versus division rival Cleveland in a game they were seemingly in control of. Great call by you, Troy, to be all over the Browns. Lamar Jackson, 13 of 23 for 223 yards, a touchdown, 2 costly interceptions, one of which was returned for a score by Newsome. Lamar also led the squad in rushing, 8 carries for 41 yards. I couldn't understand why the running game wasn't used more. You're up 31-24 with 8 minutes and 57 seconds remaining, and you start throwing the ball. It was very, very confusing. Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill didn't look very good. But look, they only ran combined 16 carries for the 3 of them. That's not enough. And you can imagine that they'll try to fix that against the Bengals rush defense that's been poor all year. Zay Flowers caught 5 passes for 73 yards. No one else got more than 2 passes. The defense got gashed in the second half, couldn't get stops on third down. The Browns went 8 of 16 on third down. And that's not like the Ravens. Ravens are second in the league, allowing third down conversions just 33.8% of the time. Their poor play on third down allowed the Browns to dominate time of possession. The pass rush finished with 4 sacks and 8 quarterback hits. Ravens have the 4th best red zone offense in the league, the 3rd best red zone defense. Ronnie Stanley left with a knee injury. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey went down with an ankle issue. Linebacker Trenton Simpson is in concussion protocol. They've already said that all 3 are very unlikely to play. Then you have outside linebacker Kyle Van Noy, groin, and safety Daryl Worley, hamstring. They were limited. They're questionable. They are thought to be in the lineup. But Stanley out, Marlon Humphrey out, Trey Hendrickson out, Sam Hubbard out. A lot of changes in the game script with these guys out of the lineup. Take it away for us here, Troy, the Thursday nighter, Bengals, Ravens.
Oh, I think you hit this game pretty nice, but this is what we've been begging for. Everybody's been asking for a good primetime game. Well, here it is. Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Bengals in a must-win spot, divisional game. It doesn't get better than this. So here we go. We got a good primetime game coming up at the end of this too, so I'm looking forward to that. My question headed into week 10 was the strength of schedule for this Ravens team. And I've been saying it every week. I kind of sound like a broken record to most of you guys who've been watching this show. They've been impressive, but the defenses they've been playing have been weak. And so have the offenses. Just in general, their strength of schedule is bottom of the league. And I thought that they got outplayed in every facet of the game. I mean, if you look at Gus Edwards, their dynamic rushing attack, they had a few big runs that popped, but overall they weren't getting much, I thought it was a sign of good coaching that he was passing the ball to give him a chance. But at the same time, you're opening up the door for that pass rush to get home. Myles Garrett's an animal. I think he's the best, most influential player in the league at this point. I think he deserves the MVP, or should be at least in the conversation. Obviously, quarterbacks, it's hard to say not, but but yeah, I mean, they kind of got lucky as well. They had a muffed punt, obviously the pick 6 to start the game. The time of possession was definitely in favor of the Browns. Lamar Jackson had 2 picks, should have been 3. Ronnie Stanley is going to be a big problem for their offensive line if he's going to be out. And it was just like, with all the hype around the Ravens, it felt like it was the time to fade them. It just felt like that time. I was on them the week before. Obviously, I'm on the Browns a lot, so it's hard to say. Some people say I'm biased. Maybe I am. But now they got the Bengals, and this is a much different opponent. And my biggest concern is this Bengals defense. This defense has just not been very consistent, not very adequate. PFF got them 27th overall. They're 31st in yards per play, right behind the Broncos, and not by margin. And missing those two pieces on their defensive line potentially is going to be a big loss. And like you said, the Ravens, the biggest edge in this game is the Ravens on the ground. The rushing attack is going to be tough to stop. And I think to beat the Ravens, to beat teams, you got to be able to run the ball effectively. And the Browns were able to do that. I don't think that the Bengals are equipped, nor do I think their offensive play caller is willing to run the ball on the ground. And their offensive line hasn't performed well in the pass block win rate category. So it's hard not to blame them. Yeah, this game is really tough. Because the Bengals, they just don't run the ball at all. If I had any faith in the Bengals to run the ball, I feel like I would already be on the Bengals. But this 3.5, it is suggesting strength in favor of the Ravens. But at the same time, the database says that if this line does get down to 3 and closes at 3, I think I'd be all over the Bengals at that spot. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to beat the market. And if it closes at 3, I will absolutely love having the Bengals in my pocket. And the Bengals team total over was also on my mind, but at the same time, it's like primetime games. I've been cashing on the unders. Why would I take an over? I mean, I just don't know if I have the balls to do that. I kind of, I went back and forth in this game, looking at the rushing, differentials and the splits. Makes me want the Ravens, but the number and the spot, Joe Burrow, must-win spot. Divisional game kind of makes me want to take the points. So, and I've been saying that this Ravens team is overrated. So I'm leaning towards the Bengals, and I'm trying to decide if I want to take it now.
That team total for the Bengals is pretty appealing, 20.5.
Yeah.
Pretty appealing. That's juice to the over right now. And
I would say the one thing, Jimmy, just to put this in your mind, and I want to hear your thoughts on it, is so the team total over. The only thing is when you start looking at all the games and the performances, and you look at how they graded out versus each team, it's the Lions where they just absolutely stopped. Just shut down the Lions. And it happened fast. It got out of control, and the Lions became predictable. But it's just that's what kept me off right now, taking the Bengals team total.
And we've not heard anybody here at this point moving on the Ravens. It's all Bengals in the chat, which I can understand. Sammy Comer leaning towards the under, Dennis on the under, and a lot of interest in the Cincinnati Bengals. Dennis Garcia said he'd rather play Baltimore team total under 24. It's under 24.5 here at Penny. It's an interesting way of looking at it. If you like the under, I often, if you're interested in the dog, then you're generally interested in the favorites team total under. I'm interested. I can't, coming off of what happened to me this past week, I just don't have the confidence to say, yeah, I'm going to be with you guys on this very public road dog. It's just, look, I've got futures on the Bengals. I still see a route where they go 5-5 through their first 10 and can get into the playoffs. And
where do you think this line closes at, Jim?
Well, I think the line close will be very telling. I expect it to close right at 3.5. But if it closes at, I think the market move from this 3.5 will be very telling. If it moves to 3, like you mentioned, clearly the Bengals will be quite live. And if it closes at 4, the Ravens will probably take care of business. At this point,
after the last year and a half, this is from my database. The last year and a half, road teams that close at 3 after a market move towards them, 11-4 ATS. And only one of those have landed on 3.
Yeah, I find it appealing. I'm always going to find the Bengals appealing. And I think I'm more concerned about what happened to them from the Texans than I am what happened to the Ravens by the Browns. So, and Al Cervic says you think the Ravens won't score on the Bengals. I really think that the reason why the Ravens weren't running the ball enough is because they don't think their running backs are that good.
Well, another thing is that what they were doing in the first time they played, the pass rush, even early in the game, the pass rush was getting too far upfield. The edge rushes they're just creating way too big of seams for these guys to run through. They stopped that, and I hope they continue to do that because that's where they've been getting gashed.
So at this point, you plan on moving, and Dennis is right. Who has run on Cleveland? No, there's truth to that, but you still need. Throwing the ball there, I was just astonished that they would put themselves in that situation. Look, I don't have the conviction right now to be on a massively public road dog. And so I'm not going to move on it tonight, and I'm going to think about it longer because you need to have real conviction if you're going to be sitting here with 75% of tickets and 85% of cash. And we know what public road dogs do.
And the line's at 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if it moves to 3, we know that Troy's going to be on it. I'm just going to need more time with this spot. What do you think of this total move from 44.5 up to 46?
I think it's a strong move. Again, I think it's pretty telling, and that's kind of what made me want the team total over. But at the same time, these primetime unders, it's just crazy. So that'd be I'm better off taking the spread at that point, I feel like. So I'm going back and forth. I'm not on it yet. I think the 3 would be most enticing, and that's the thing. If I start seeing it get juiced, maybe I catch it, get the hooker, get maybe I cash at 6% more of the time. But I won't. Like I said, man, I've been doing it. I'm very counterintuitive from a lot of guys do it. I've been profitable, but I'm willing to take the 3.
All right. Well, let's move on to Sunday action, and we stay in the AFC North, probably the most fun division to talk about in football. 1 p.m. Eastern, Pittsburgh Steelers 6-3, 2-1 on the road at the Cleveland Browns, 6-3, 4-1 at home. Cleveland Browns Stadium, Cleveland, Ohio, 44 Fahrenheit, sunny, 14-mile-per-hour winds. Let's get into the side here. We have these Browns -4 at -103. This opened up at 4, and it lasted there for 16 minutes till it went to 3.5. Does that sound familiar? It's exactly what happened in Ravens Bengals. Exactly what happened Ravens Bengals from the same book, same spot. So it moved to 3.5, but it got back to 4. It got back to 4 last night. It was at 4 until now. Now that 4 for the Steelers has gotten juiced up to -118. Right now it's at -114. So basically 6 cents of movement towards the Pittsburgh Steelers is what we have. 6 cents. Now let's go into the total here for this one. We have a 36, man. Low. Opened up at 38.5, and it lasted there for about 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 45 minutes before it moved 1.5 points from 38.5 to 37. Lasted at 37 for, I guess that's not, sorry, missing the AM part of that. I take that back. Sorry. It took about 15 hours to move 1.5 points. It was there at 38.5 for a while. Moves to 37 and then moves to 36, which is where it is right now. So a big move to the under and a very tiny, slight juiced move towards the Steelers. Let's take a look at the cash flow here on this one. For cash, we have 63% of the tickets and 77% of the cash on the Pittsburgh Steelers. So here we start out the show, AFC North action, public dogs, public road dogs. From a total scenario, 84% of the tickets and 87% of cash. And we see this huge move to the under. Birdie says he bet the Steelers +4, took a really bad number on the over 38.5. So he should have waited. He has this in his 40s. Dennis Garcia says the initial move to the under is probably true, but it's getting a little ridiculous. Says he might at some point play the over. Dennis Garcia says, I hate this game, have nothing. I don't want the luck box Steelers, but this is the type of game they always hang around in. Andrew G was on the Steelers money line last weekend. It was painful. And Spenny Pennybomb says both these quarterbacks are going to turn the ball over. Let's set it up here. Steelers have been outgained in every game this year. Everyone's talking about it. Every news article. They're 6-3, just a half game out of the lead in the AFC North, tied with these Browns. 9 straight wins in one-score games dating back to last season. I mean, clearly Tomlin's doing a really good job this year. All 6 of their wins in 2023 have come by 8 points or less. Kenny Pickett does not look good. 14-23, 126 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. George Pickens led receivers with 3 catches for 45 yards. It was the running game that looks really strong. It was excellent last week. Jalen Warren led the way with 15 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown. Najee Harris, 16 for 82. But this pass rush with these superstar names is very pedestrian. They finished with 1 sack and 5 quarterback hits. It's not a dominant pass rush. And maybe it will end up being again, but it's just not as good as people make it out to be at this point in the year. The Packers went 8 for 16 on third down, and that's an area where the Steelers usually look good. On the year, they ranked 6th, allowing conversions just 37.7% of the time. They held the Packers to just 1 of 5 in the red zone. They're now 4th in the league, allowing touchdowns on just 40.7% of red zone opportunities. And those two stats right there is coaching. Their coaching is strong. Keanu Neal and DeMonte Casey had interceptions, but Quan Alexander left in the first quarter with a torn Achilles. He's a second Pittsburgh inside linebacker to be we think that Holcomb will be lost for the season, but to be lost for the season consecutive weeks. So you lose Holcomb, you lose Quan Alexander. So a Landon Roberts becomes so important to this football team. And then you have Mark Robinson, this linebacker, inside linebacker, second year inside linebacker, becomes crucial. He played 40 snaps against the Packers. He played just 4 snaps in the first 8 games of the season, and they all came in week 3 against the Raiders. Minka Fitzpatrick missed the second consecutive game with a hamstring injury. He's listed as questionable. Freiermuth is eligible to come off the IR this week. He hasn't played since week 4, but the injuries to Quan and then 2 weeks ago to Holcomb, these are massive blows to this defense. The Browns coming off an enormously impressive 33-31 victory at division-leading Baltimore. Watson 14 for 14 in the second half, had his best game in the Browns uniform. 20-34 for 213 yards, a touchdown and a pick, ran 8 times for 37 yards. After the game, he's in a walking boot. He said that he'll be ready to go this week, but they did the MRI on the ankle today. I couldn't get that information a few hours ago. I don't know if it's come out now. Cooper caught 6 passes for 98 yards. He's been simply spectacular this year. Jerome Ford gaining confidence each week. He ran 17 times for 107 yards. The Browns win the rushing battle 178-106. So, of course, they win the time of possession battle 34-15 to 25-45. That's so crucial in these games. They went 8 of 16 against the league's third-ranked third down defense. They were just 2 of 5 in the red zone. They've been good in that spot this year. They're 8 scoring touchdowns, 59.3% of red zone drives. Defensively, the Browns look good after falling behind 17-3 in the first quarter. Held the Ravens to just 14 points the rest of the way. Held the Ravens far below their season average on the ground. Their pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, and Greg Newsome returned that interception for a touchdown. Mike Ford also had a pick. They held the Ravens to just 2 red zone trips. Now, Denzel Ward left with this neck strain. They expect him to be available this week. And Juan Thornhill, their safety, hurt his calf muscle, and there had been no update as of today on that calf muscle. Take it away for us here. AFC North battle. Troy, Steelers, Browns.
This Steelers team, I just can't get over what their record is compared to what their output offensively and defensively has been, because it really doesn't match up. They've been very lucky and fortunate in a few of these games. Last week was none the other. With the missed PAT to cover the spread, got crushed on third downs, outgained again, like you already said, but continue to win. They actually got the ground game going, which is surprising, from what we've seen from them. They're actually running the ball a little bit successfully, but it has been very sketchy defenses. And I just can't get this off my mind, what happened in week 2 with this Pittsburgh team. I had Cleveland. I was very heavy, had them live. I thought I had it in the bag in the fourth quarter, strip sack, touchdown with like 5 minutes left. It was crushing. And you don't think the Browns remember that freaking game? And some people thinking Deshaun Watson isn't going to play. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play this game, I'm selling the Browns, because after having that game he had against the Ravens, if he sits this game, God, he kind of reminds me of Prima Donna too, like psychologically studying like the behavioral arts. I used to study when I played poker, and I would, watch YouTube videos on the way to work and just listen to podcasts on behavioral arts, because in poker it's very important. Well, looking at his just posture and language, body language on the field I still don't like what I'm seeing out of him, even though he performed. Like, just the antics and just how exaggerating he is on the field, it just kind of pisses me off. But this Pitt team, they're way overrated at this point. And I don't think they're overrated in the market, but I think that's why I like the Browns so much too. The bigger spreads, that shows a lot of strength. Pitt is 6-3, got outgained every single matchup this year. And PFF has this team rated 26th overall. So they're not grading out very well. How long could this Tomlin magic, is this a real thing? And the Browns, everyone knows, this is my team this year. Elite defensively. They give up some big explosive plays. That's because they're a high variance defense. Hopefully they don't have to if Watson could be a competent quarterback. But they play high variance defense because they want to make shit happen. And they think they could do it with their defensive unit, and that's what they've done. And the Steelers are coming off 3 straight W's, man. 3 straight wins, all at home. It's the same reason I faded the Jags, even though the Jags were at home. Their home field advantage is nothing like the Steelers is. They're coming off 3 games where they've looked the best they have all season at the house. Now they're going on the road to a pissed off team that has revenge. I think they're still pissed off. That Ravens victory, I know they're thinking about this divisional rival coming into Cleveland, the land. Playing with revenge. This is just, to me, there's just a massive mismatch offensive to defensive line. I don't see how Pitt gets it done. I'm on the Browns -3.5. I took it as soon as, the only 3.5 I can get. Got it pretty early. I'm going to be on this money line parlay multiple ways. One of them is going to be with the Jags. I already bet that Browns plus Jags money line. And then, dude, they're going to pay me back. This Steelers team is going to pay me back from that week too, this week. So,
yeah, I don't like. We know what Tomlin does as a dog, especially when it's around the number 3. But I want to also put an end to this ridiculousness of the Steelers being 6-3, getting outgained each game. I expect Deshaun to be good to go. He says he's going to be good to go. I kind of want to get the information on the MRI before I move, but I think the more we talk about it, the more I do expect the Browns to send a message here. And the more public the Steelers are is probably the best thing for us. Now, they're not that public here. 63% of the tickets, 77% of the cash. But I do not see this line moving further towards the Steelers. I think the 3.5s.
Right. That's actually something to consider, especially seeing how similar this market is with what we're seeing in the Ravens game. I think that Ravens line has a real chance to get to 3. I don't see this line getting to 3.
No. I agree. And, I expect Denzel Ward to be there. I expect that now Quan was playing. Now Quan left in the first quarter, and look, they didn't get hurt that bad because they're playing the Packers. This will be different. I just need to know what's going on with the MRI, and I'd like to be with you here on the Browns. I think that they can win by more than a field goal. I get the 3.5 to be appealing, and I guess I'm with you. I think this total is too low, but I would maybe the Browns team totals at 20.5. I don't want to sit back and expect the Steelers to put points up on the board. I don't want to do that. So, Sammy Comer says Pitt's at Cincinnati next week. Says if Pittsburgh wins this game, he's going to fade them next week.
I'm going to have a lot of money on this Browns money line parlay. I mean, this is going to be one of the 2 sides that I'm heavily betting this week.
Yeah, I think the more we talk it out, I find the Bengals a little more appealing, but if I'm going to back a public, road dog, I have to have huge conviction, and I don't think I will have that on a Thursday night at this point. And I think I'd like to join you with the Browns. It's time.
I mean, we already know that on the side. We know. I don't even have to look. I know the public. They're always on the Steelers.
Yeah,
always on the Steelers.
Andrew G says, "Yeah, I got to think the luck runs out with Pitt." I mean, it is like trying to catch a falling knife when you try to make some of these decisions when the luck will fall out. Because, like Bertie said, I mean, it was the Vikings last year and it never stopped last year. But I think you're right. I think the Browns have that fresh in their memory of what happened there with that Highsmith strip sack. Picked up by JJ. It was picked up by JJ Watt, right? It was him. He ran it in.
Watt ran it in. And I mean, this team graded out. You should see these offensive grades. Every grade is below 40. Run block, passing in general, passing efficiency. I mean, these are Fs. They flunked. And Watson, if he doesn't turn the ball over, they're covering the spread.
And it might be, also appealing to, I mean, if you want to get under that 3, well, you can take that first half. But the Browns minus 2.5 first half is pretty juiced, minus 122. I don't know if I necessarily want that. It probably would be more appealing to take the plus money at the 3, and if it's a push, it's a push, but you got the plus money opportunity. Look, I think I've talked myself into the Browns here, and then I also will have some interest in the Browns team total over. And again, I know they have superstar names on this defense, but I also Minka Fitzpatrick returning will be very big here. Very, very big. All right. Let's roll on. Next up for us, we head to Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan, 1 p.m. Eastern. Chicago Bears 3-7, 1-4 on the road at Detroit Lions, 7-2, 3-1 at home. We're at Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan. Let's get into the line history here. We have Detroit at Pinnacle. It's not a real 10.5. It's got 10.5 listed, but 10.5 is at plus 110 if you want the lines of minus 10.5. So it's more of a 10 is what it is. It's basically a 10 here, and other books are sitting at 9.5. Other books are all over the 9.5, but it's a 10 over at Pinnacle. Market moving towards the Detroit Lions. From a total standpoint here, we have a 47. This 47 is moved 6 cents towards the under. It opened up at minus 107. It's now minus 113. And when we get to the cash flow here in this one, we have 21% of the tickets and 75% of the cash on the Chicago Bears. Market's not moving towards them. And then 46% of the tickets, 59% of cash on the under here. Bears coming off extra rest after they won 16-13 at home in last week's Thursday nighter. Tyson Bagent starting his 4th game in the NFL, 20-33, 162 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Bears are 2-2 in those 4 games. He's been good. Justin Fields, his return is still undetermined. I said on last week's show that I don't expect him to play from listening to his interview. And if you listen to Eberflus today or yesterday even, right now, this is from him, right? Quote unquote. He said, we just need more time. We need team drills work. We need that, and we'll eventually get there. We're just not there right now. Fields has been doing individuals in practice, but yet to appear in any 11 scrimmages. And so obviously these bigger bets that are coming in on the Bears, those guys who are making them are expecting Fields to be under center. And that's just still a somewhat dangerous proposition for me here. Now, Fields in 6 starts looked quite good. 11 touchdowns, 6 picks. He seemed to get stronger as it went on, and we watched that huge victory that they had in Washington when him and DJ Moore were magic. He's also rushed 237 yards on 47 attempts. But Bagent's been pretty good. 4 games. He's thrown for 859 yards. Now 3 touchdowns, 6 picks. It's not great, but he's been good, and he played clean against the Panthers. Against the Panthers, DJ Moore led receivers with 5 catches for 58 yards. Komet had 5 for 45. The pass rush, was able to apply pressure in their second game with Montez Sweat. Sweat didn't get a sack, but he did get 3 hits on Bryce Young. The Bears got 9. It's the best the pass rush has looked all year. They're last in the league. They have 10 sacks this year. They're averaging 1.3 sacks per game. They put up 3 sacks in this one. They came in with 10 sacks, right? Is that right?
Yeah. They came in with 10 sacks.
Yeah, that's right. So that's why they average 1.3 now per game. So the defense held the Panthers to just 3 of 15 on third down. They've done a nice job in that stat throughout the year. They're 11th in the league, holding opponents to just 40.1 conversion rate. They also held the Panthers to 1 uneventful trip in the red zone, and that's where they've struggled all year. 31st in the league, allowing touchdowns on 72.41% of red zone trips. The Lions coming off a wild 41-38 victory on the road at SoFi over the Chargers. The offense put up 533 total yards on the Chargers. And then Dan Campbell made a great call. What else can you say? 4th and 2, at the 26-yard line. And he risked it all. And it was a pass play to Sammy Laporta. It was a great call and a great play, and 6-yard gain, and allowed them to run the clock out. It was a shrewd move. It could have blown up in his face, but it didn't, and they get the win. Goff was 23 of 33 and two touchdowns there. He had over 300 yards passing. Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 8 passes for 156 yards. The run game was excellent. They combined to run 31 times for 200 yards, Montgomery and Gibbs. Montgomery ran 12 times for 116 yards and a touchdown. Gibbs ran 14 for 77 and 2 touchdowns. While the offense looked excellent, the defense could not get stops or apply pressure on Herbert. 0 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. So Chargers were 7-14 on third down. The Detroit defense struggles on third down. They're 28th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 47.2% of opportunities. They also allowed the Chargers to go perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. This is a issue for the Lions. They're 30th in the league, allowing opponents to score on 69% of red zone drives. So they're 30th in the red zone defense. They're 28th in third down defense. And, Campbell with that call has no faith in his defense to make stops. The question is, do you need to worry about it against the Bears? Take it away for us here, Troy. Your Bears. First off, do you expect Fields to be under center?
I am uncertain about that. I kind of I just had a feeling last week. I don't know why I had the strong feeling that was the last we'd ever see of Justin Fields for the Chicago Bears. But I don't know why I had that feeling. It doesn't look like it based on how he's standing or, the way he's incorporating himself into the game from a coaching standpoint. But I felt extremely fortunate to a push is a win. See, I didn't cover, but I pushed with the Chargers +3 on one of my bets. I had the Chargers money line lost. I was on the wrong side. The Lions team dominated the Chargers. There wasn't a couple lucky calls, some mob shit going on to land on the 3 or to even get the Chargers to get over the hump. It was the wrong side. Lions should have covered that spread. I don't know, they're just going to be tough to beat, man. This unwavering belief in his team, I just love that about Dan Campbell. And I think that also inspires their players to rise to the occasion because he's demanding it out of them and in the best way, right? It's just great, I think, what he's got going over there in Detroit. Because when you have an authority figure like your coach or something like that believe in you and his actions show that, you just one up instantly. It's either all of that or he has absolutely no faith in his defense. But I really think that he made that call because he knew he would get that first down. If you remember against the Chiefs in week 1, I came back in week 2 on Bankroll Blitz and I was talking about how Dan Campbell punted it on 4th and 1 from the 47 against the Chiefs. And then later on, they ran a fake punt from their own 30-yard line on 4th and 5. And I was like, what? I think that's a little bit, that just tells me that he really thinks offensively they were just going to dominate and get the first down. He threw the ball. Crazy. On the other side, you have the Bears, who I think is finally, in years of bad defensive football, they're putting a competent defense on the field. It starts with the secondary, in my opinion. And Montez Sweat, his impact on this team is definitely noticeable. The defensive line is finally, all their pass rush grades have all looked better since Montez Sweat hit the field. So he's obviously having a contagious effect on the defense. But this Lions offense is just too high powered. If they stay fully healthy, it's really scary shit. Like I said, I talked about it last week. I think that defensively, this team is overrated. I don't think they're great, which I don't think the Bears are going to be able to take advantage of either. I really wanted the under in this game. Ultimately, all of this is to say I was leaning towards the under in this game, being a divisional game where we don't know who's starting at quarterback. Badge and Torrence Fields, I still feel like the Bears aren't going to be able to convert for touchdowns. And the Lions, 20-6. We could see a game. I really think that the Lions probably cover. The trends all in these divisional games at this spread show it's about a 50-50 proposition. Home favorite this big. I'm thinking under.
Yeah, the Bears are starting to play perfect under football. I feel a little uncomfortable with the game script if Justin Fields does come back. If he doesn't, I think the under is very much in play. And I'm not saying it's not in play if he does come back. It's just, the Lions will probably at home get confidence against a weak opponent. Their defense will probably, get a couple sacks, start feeling good about themselves because they've not looked good on the road. We've seen that now for a while, them not looking good. Forget that first game, put a line through the first game of the year against the Chiefs. They've not looked good on the road. There's Ronald Crawford joining us. Great to see you. Birdie liking the Bears is a solid look. I don't know. Okay, I'll tell you this. I would find the Bears more appealing if Fields is not in and the number moves further towards the Lions. Not that I would end up moving on it then, but I just want to know who's at quarterback so I can put together a script. And at this point, and I said it last week, and I hope I save people money. I know that the difference is not big, or at least not necessarily saving people money, but put something in their mind that Fields was not going to go because everybody thought he was going to go last week. So, okay.
Yeah, I grew up in Illinois, in Chicago, right by Midway Airport. So this is where I'm from. But yeah, you're right though. We got to know who's playing at quarterback before you can make a guess. But Birdie, I have a question for you. Who do you think is starting at quarterback? He likes the Bears.
I imagine because Dennis moved on the over, expecting, assuming Fields plays, and listening to Eberflus, I would make me nervous at this point. And we need to see what happens tomorrow and that injury report to come out. We need to watch him grip the ball.
Who would you rather have play quarterback to cover the 10 points? Do you think Justin Fields?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, because I love when a quarterback sits and watches for a few weeks. I've said it over and over again, and it's I find it more helpful in college, but I like it a lot. Just sit back.
James Cook sitting for a few series, coming in and just running his ass off. Jesus.
Yeah. I know he looked good when he came back after that fumble. He actually had 2 fumbles in the game, right? Just only lost one of them. Okay, Bears lines at this point. I can understand the idea of backing the Bears here because their defense looks much better and they're getting a pass rush. But I need to know who's at quarterback and handle the line from there. Is there anything that you're leaning towards at this point, or you want to wait and find out who's at under center?
I want to find out who's under center, but I'm leaning with Birdie. But did Birdie say he's on the over?
No, Dennis Garcia on the over, Birdie on the Bears.
Yeah.
Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, the Los Angeles Chargers, 4-5, 2-2 on the road. The Green Bay Packers, 3-6, 2-2 at home. Lambeau Field, Green Bay, Wisconsin, 42 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny, 6 miles per hour. Last week, the bet that jumped off the paper for me was the Steelers at home against Packers. But it was just, I felt, too blatant of a spot. I stayed off of it. Those who stuck to their guns cashed. Here, this was the first spot that jumped off the paper at me. I think that the Chargers could comfortably beat the Green Bay Packers, but those plays that jump off the paper are not. I don't hit it a high percentage with them, and there's some sports where I will just put a line through that first spot that is clearly going to be a public play. Let's talk about the line history here for this one. We have these Chargers sitting at -3 at -112. So they opened up at -3.5, and they lasted there for 54 minutes before it moved to 3. And then, that 3 became juiced up to -118, -124. And then it came back. There was a point this morning where the Packers at +3 were juiced. So at that point, because I'm staring at this game all day, I'm like, what am I missing here? And it's okay to not be on the, that bet that just looks so obvious before you dig into the numbers. This total is sitting at 44, -110 to the over. We've had a 4-cent move towards the over. There had been a move towards the under when the line first came out. Danny Lopez looking at the under. Spenny Pennybomb saying that Packers offense is abysmal. Sammy Comer saying, why isn't the Chargers -5.5? So let's roll. Let's roll here. Let's take a look at the cash flow for this one. We have 23% of the tickets and 40% of the cash on the Packers. 23% of the tickets on the Packers, and the line moves from 3.5 to 3 in 54 minutes. That's just a stop sign for me. I have to stop immediately. And then, one of the fun things about college football is you have another 60 games you can look at. In the NFL, there's only 13 other games. But I'm comfortable leaving this alone because I can't fully explain why the market isn't moving towards the Chargers, just like Sammy said. 59% of the tickets are on the under. Chargers coming off a wild 41-38 loss at home to the Lions. This Jekyll and Hyde defense for the Chargers looked incapable of making stops. The Lions put up 533 total yards. The offense did its best to keep Chargers in the game. Herbert 27 of 40 for 323 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. Keenan Allen caught 11 passes for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Eckler starting to look healthy. Ran 19 times for 67 yards and a touchdown, caught 4 for 48. 3 for 3 in the red zone. The Chargers are second in the league in the red zone right now. They're scoring touchdowns 72.4% of their red zone drives. That's a very important asset, and you have Eckler, where so many options with Eckler. And then you have Keenan Allen's height, for corner routes. The pass rush couldn't apply any pressure at all. I mean, it was awful, just awful. 0 sacks, 2 quarterback hits. They're still, and it's getting worse, but they're last in the league, allowing 291.2 yards a game through the air. But it was on the ground where they got hurt the most. I mean, Lions rushed for 200 yards. So the Chargers allowed 98 yards more than their season average on the ground. I mean, it's just awful. Packers coming off their 5th loss in 6 games, a tough 23-19 setback at Pittsburgh. They outgained the Steelers 399 to 324, but they continued their continued inability to deliver in the red zone. It just hurts them. They were 1 for 5 in the red zone. They're now 27th in the league, converting those opportunities 46.9% of the time. Jordan Love 21 of 40 for 289 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Jaden Reed caught 5 for 84 and a touchdown. Musgrave 2 for 64. Aaron Jones continues to struggle on the ground. He does not look good. 13 carries for 35 yards. Dylan led the way on the ground with 9 carries for 70. Defensively, the Packers continued to struggle dialing up pressure. 1 sack, 4 quarterback hits. They allowed the Steelers to score on each of their first 3 drives. This is a very mediocre football team, and we know the public's going to be all over the Chargers. So this is the 4th game, right, that we've discussed. Sorry, that we've had the 1, 2, then we had so this is the 4th game we've discussed, and we're talking about 3 public road situations. Now, this is a public road favorite, but the market's moving towards the home dog, even though all the tickets and cash are on the public road favorite. Take it away for us here. This is a fascinating one. Chargers, Packers, Troy at Lambeau.
I immediately, after watching that Chargers performance, I did not want anything to do with these Chargers. Can I do it again? Can I take another loss? I have cashed them a little bit. The good, the bad, the ugly, and most of it's freaking ugly with this Chargers team and a coach who hangs around, even though his lack of competency. But this Packers team has just been so bad. I mean, it's clearly the most public play. The line at 3 is dangerous to mess with. But man, these road favorites in this price range, this is just crazy. So at Pinnacle, past 2 years, home dogs of +3, even after the market moves towards them. So +3, they opened 3.5, 4, closed at +3, 1-7 ATS, and 1-8 to the under. Shit, just in home dogs that closed at +3.5 last year at Pinnacle, this past 2 years, 5-11 ATS. So the ATS trends with these dogs, these home dogs of 3, 3.5 are not good. And here's the thing though, at this point, don't you think the books would have adjusted and now they move it up to 4, 4.5 to change it up? It's really hard, right? You got the better offense, the better quarterback. And like I said, like I've been saying, this is no longer defensive win championships. It's the offense that wins championships. And Chargers are probably the play. I'll probably end up with money on the Chargers in some way, shape, or form, as ugly as it is.
It's the only thing that makes it ugly is that it's going to be the most popular bet in America, I imagine. So that's the only reason why it's uncomfortable. And the Steelers, I felt, were in the exact same spot last week, and that cashed for everybody. Man, the Chargers. If the Chargers can't go into Green Bay and get a win, at this, then they have absolutely no chance here. This is crazy.
The Giants or the Jags might contend with them for the most popular bet, right?
At that number, it's 6.5, and we'll talk about that one. But I don't know. I think this will be the most popular bet in America. Right now the Jags are the most popular bet, 84% on the spread. But the Giants are 88. I didn't even realize that. The Dolphins are at 89. So we'll see how that all finishes off. Is anything else close to it? Cowboys are at 86. 49ers are at 87.
Yeah,
So
you're right. At 3, this is what comes Sunday. If this number hangs around that 3, oh yeah, you're right.
I think it'll be the most popular bet in America, but we'll see. I can't be on this spot here. And Dennis Garcia says he's finally off a Chargers under. Says was a good run. Okay, let's move on. Move past this one. 1 p.m. Eastern. Las Vegas Raiders 5-5, 1-4 on the road. Miami Dolphins 6-3, 4-0 at home. We're at Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. 79 Fahrenheit, sunny 9 miles per hour. The Antonio Pierce regime looking strong, 2-0 to start his career as a coach. And I know he was in college, but here we go in the big time. Let's take a look at the line history here. This is being at 13 at Pinnacle. It opened at minus 13 at plus 102. It's now minus 13 at minus 107. All the other books are hanging 12s. So, Pinnacle's stuck to this 13. Bovada's on the 13. Heritage is at 11.5, while Bookmaker's at 13 as well. So it's pretty wild here from a market standpoint. Then when we go into the total for this one, we have it sitting at 46.5. It's 46.5. This opened up at 48.5. I think that move to the under does make sense here. From a cash flow perspective, we have I'm the wrong way here. Let's get this up. From a cash flow perspective, as I said, 89% of the tickets and 97% of the cash on the Miami Dolphins. 56% of the tickets and 80% cash on the under that's dropped. That makes sense. That drop makes sense because the Dolphins defense is better than my eye test would think it is. But let's start with the Raiders coming up the 16-12 home victory over the Jets. Pulled out the victory despite being outgained 365 to 274. Aiden O'Connell, 16-27, 153 yards, touchdown and pick. Devontae Adams caught 6 for 86. Saying very nice things about Aiden O'Connell. Josh Jacobs had 27 carries for 116 yards. He did fumble twice, losing one of them. They were just 5 of 15 on third down. They're 29th in the league, converting just 33.1% of these third down opportunities. And you have to cash third downs against the Dolphins. You have to keep that offense on the bench. They scored the game's lone touchdown. They were 1 for 1 in the red zone. Spillane was all over the field, 7 tackles, 1 sack, 1 pick. Raiders finished with 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. They allowed the Jets to go 7 of 16 on third down. This defense is 30th in the league, allowing opponents to convert 48.8% of third downs. They're 25th in the league, allowing opponents to score touchdowns on 63.3% of red zone drives. Left tackle Colton Miller didn't play because of a shoulder injury, and Marcus Peters played after being listed questionable. We know his knee's barking. And then Amik Robertson, their cornerback, suffered a concussion, and he's in concussion protocol. Dolphins coming off their bye week. We last saw them in 21-14 loss versus the Chiefs in Frankfurt. 0-3 against teams with winning records, 6-0 against everyone else. In those 3 games against teams with winning records, the Dolphins have never had a lead. Miami defense, though, they held the Chiefs to 267 yards and just 174 through the air. Kansas City's lowest numbers in a regular season game in almost 2 years. The defense has been strong this year. They're the best in the league on third down. Opponents convert just 31.2% of third down opportunities against the Fish. Their red zone defense struggles. They're 28th, allowing touchdowns 67.8% of the time. The Dolphins are 4-0 at home. They look dominant there. They average 516 net yards at home. They're 174 and 74. That's what they're outscoring teams in 4 games at home. And on the road, they struggle, but we don't need to worry about that right now because here they are at home. And Tagovailoa has been excellent, but he does come in off the worst game of his season. Lowest completion percentage, 61.8, only threw for 193 yards against the Chiefs. But the Dolphins have a lot to be excited about. They're set up to be in the playoffs, back-to-back seasons for the first time in over 20 years. They have the best red zone offense in the league. They have, as I said earlier, the best third down defense. I mean, those are the types of things that can bring you glory. And Devon Achane is back at practice. Now, it's only opened up the 21-day window for him to be activated from the injured reserve, and they know how important he is because the difference with Achane in the lineup and with him out is enormous. He was leading the NFL with 12.1 yards per carry before the injury. So if McDaniel won't tell us if Achane will play, but listen to this: in the 4 games since Achane's gone, so they average 185.8 yards on the ground with Achane and 100.5 without him. So we're talking, 85.3 yards less per game without him on the field. Now, offensive lineman Rob Hunt with the hamstring and Rob Jones with the knee are both week to week, but McDaniel says that he expects them to respond well in practice and they could be back in the lineup. And we know that Tron Armstead's back. So take it away for us here. Raiders, Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium, Troy.
I got to start opening my horizon to some of these larger spreads because recently they've been cashing like crazy. I missed one of those opportunities on the Cowboys, and I don't want to let a lot more of these go, and I can't really explain why they cash. You'd figure the books would have adjusted by now, but these big favorites have been cashing. I mean, even back to 2018, but I'm going to give you the numbers. I guess I give you 2018, but I'll give you since 2021. Home favorites between 10 and 15 are 27 and 13 ATS. And the craziest thing about that is if you add in the state criteria, get over to the database, that one was from SQL. If you go to the database, same parameters, but you add 70% more of the bets are on that team. 7-1 ATS, winning by an average of 20 points. Undefeated. The only loss there's one example on here that the home team won by 3. Other than that, it's been all blowouts. So I really got to find my spots to back these big spreads. It's just scary when you see all the money on it. You got the big number you're working with. Psychologically, I think this is just a game that I have to overcome and start looking at these as viable money-making opportunities because I can't see the Raiders staying in this game with the defense they're going to run on the field. Like you said, you talked about a lot of the X's and O's, offensive and defensive home road splits. It seems like a spot that you just want to take. I feel like I have to take the Dolphins. I wish I was getting the 10.5, but I might just bite the bullet and do it because we know, this team has had a massive boost with the play calling change and the new coaching changes. But I just feel like the Jets let them off the hook. I'll get into some of the numbers on that. And this Dolphins versus inferior opponents, they just dominate them, man. So I really need to probably nut the hell up and just start backing some of these, Jimmy. But
I agree. It was another one that jumped out at me. And look, I agree. If Dennis is cashed with the Raiders in back-to-back weeks under the Antonio Pierce regime, I've not. But if I had, and I don't really ever consider the house as money in sports gambling. I don't consider it in sports gambling. But if you're up with the Raiders, I could see you just going right back to the well. I would think that you should wait here, but I just don't see how O'Connell can go score for score. The only issue would be, a backdoor cover. Next thing you know, the Dolphins are up 21, 25 points in the fourth quarter, and you see, White out there, something like that. But I don't want. I agree. These huge spreads scare me, but we go over the numbers all the time. How often they cash. We just saw the Cowboys cash so easily. So I also want Miami here.
I'm really stuck on this one. It's all the way up to 13. Shit. That's where it opened. And it's starting to get juiced now at Pinnacle. A lot of these other books moved it from 10.5. I'm seeing a 9.5 open at FanDuel, and they're all up to 12. I mean, you can get this at 11.5 on FanDuel. Maybe I'm doing it. I'm taking the Dolphins, laying the points. I'm going to put a half a unit on it for now. I know it'll count as a full unit here, but maybe I just need to start dabbling, and then I'll grow my belief.
Yeah. I mean, it was funny that Panthers game, the Dolphins went down 14-0 and, got in on the Dolphins minus 3.5.
And we had him in the contest, in the Cappers contest, didn't we, that week?
I'm not sure if we did.
I think we did. And I was like, oh, my God, we're fucked. And sure enough.
Yeah, look, I get it. This is I think I got to join you here. Let's roll on. That's Raiders, Dolphins. Do you think the Raiders score enough points to get us the over?
That's a really sharp look, too. The total's inflated simply because the Dolphins, I feel like it's a good look.
It's dropped from 48.5 to 46.5, so it's not a comfortable spot to attack here. But I get it. Rand says that 7.5 first half is okay. I imagine, the thing, the Dolphins can just turn it on so quickly. All right, let's roll on. I find the Dolphins appealing as well, coming off the bye to put an end to this Raiders glory. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern. New York Giants 2-8, 1-5 on the road. The Washington Commanders 4-6, 1-3 at home. FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland. 52 Fahrenheit, sunny. 10 miles per hour is the wind. The Giants' disastrous season continues. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have these New York Giants sitting here at Pinnacle at at plus 10 at minus 116. The Giants opened up at 10, minus 109. So, it's taken juice a couple different times. It's taking juice here. There are any books hanging 9.5s? Yeah, Bovada hanging 9.5, but everyone else at 10. Take a look at the total here for this one, and it's at 37.5. This opened up at 37.5. There's been a move towards the under here, and I don't, with Washington unable to get much pressure on the quarterback, and I think Sam Howell, he's wild. He's going to throw some bad picks and stuff like that, but he can get the job done. He can move the ball, and I'd love to be on overs in Commanders games, but can you trust the Giants to put up enough points? 88% of the tickets and 88% of the cash is on the New York Giants. It's wild. 79% of the tickets, 87% cash on the under. I mean, do I want to get in the way of that? I probably not.
Wait,
probably not.
I didn't believe my ears on the Giants. The numbers on the Giants. What?
It's wild.
Wow.
They're coming off a 49-17 loss at Dallas. The Cowboys outgained them 640 to 172. We saw it in that Broncos-Dolphins game when the team just gives up. And to tackle, I mean, that takes intensity, and you have to care. And they just stopped caring. They're outscored 28-0 in the first half, outgained 368 to 27. Tommy DeVito, 14 and 27 for 86 yards, 2 touchdowns in the pick. He also ran 7 times for 41 yards. Bellinger led receivers with, 34 yards receiving from the tight end spot. Saquon ran 13 times for 66 yards. The offense was 0 for 12 on third down. The defense was atrocious. I mean, the Cowboys went 6 for 7 in the red zone. They're not a good red zone team. And they went 6 for 7. Kayvon Thibodeau, concussion. I mean, do you want to come back this week? He's not listed. So
he ain't playing. No chance.
I thought here, let me just see this again. For whatever reason, in my head, I thought he wasn't even listed as. Oh no, he's there. He's there. Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah. Then they have Cordell Flott, a shoulder injury. He's listed as questionable. They have a huge injury report. Like, who wants to come back here? You have Evan Neal and Adoree Jackson listed as questionable. Andrew Thomas. I mean, if your knee's barking, do you really want to get out there and block for Tommy DeVito? The Commanders coming off a 29-26 loss at Seattle. We were fortunate to cash that over to get that late touchdown, but that's what Howell capable of doing. In the 29-44, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. He also ran twice for 17 yards. Brian Robinson Jr. ran 8 for 38, but he caught 6 passes for 119 yards and a touchdown. I mean, he's a perfect check down running back. They were 7 of 15 on third down. They're just 21st in the NFL converting third downs 37.2% of the time. They're 11th in red zone offense. They went 1 for 1, but they're, cash touchdowns 58.06% of the time. The pass rush looked slightly stronger in their second game without Chase Young and Montez Sweat. 1 sack, 5 quarterback hits. The Seahawks outgained Washington 489 to 356 in that one. Held Seattle to 414 on third down. Washington's been good defensively on third down. They're 7th in the league allowing conversions, just 37.8% of opponent opportunities. This is wild seeing all this money on the Giants. Take it away, Troy. What are your thoughts here, Giants Commanders?
I don't have many thoughts on this game because I'm biased. There's no chance in hell I'm backing the Giants in any way, shape, or form. It almost makes me doubt the reputableness, how reliable are the sources we're looking at with these cash. I just can't believe who would, in the right mind, would put their money on the Giants. And then when you start thinking like that, it's like, well, it must be the right side then, right? But it's a one-way road for me. Commanders are nothing. The only note I have on this game is the Commanders' offensive coordinator, Bieniemy. Sam Howell leads the NFL in passing yards. He leads the NFL in passing yards. This offense is putting up points. Bieniemy is their play caller. We know he came from KC. I think it just shows how – I just want to call this out, how important coaching is because it's night and day. how big of a guy like Bieniemy, even though he might be a little too hard, he might have Howell trying to progress too fast. But it's what they're willing to do. I don't think they're looking to win, but they're looking to progress, and they're doing that. And I just wanted to say that I have no action on this game. Not interested.
Why? I mean, the only possible answer to why there's these bets on the Giants is what Mac Beavers is talking about: Washington, Dallas on Turkey Day. By the way, we have a rich history of while you guys celebrate American Thanksgiving, I drink for 12 hours on 3 straight live streams. So, much to my wife's chagrin, I'll be doing that again this year. She's not pleased. She's nonplussed about it. But I'll be here for all 3 games. We'll live bet them all. Same game parlays on all of them. Let's go after it.
I'm gonna have to stop by and hit some of, and at least stop in and say what's up a couple times.
Yes, we'd love that. I know all you guys got Thanksgiving stuff to worry about, but we don't. This is crazy. Brady says sack numbers coming down for Howell as well. Howell very quietly becoming a very, very good NFL quarterback. Yeah. It's just nuts that the 88% of cash is on the Giants. I mean, the thing that's so crazy about it, and we'll just move on because it's such a messed up game, but that can't be dumb cash. Those aren't idiots getting in early on. Now, but why would anyone want to get in early on the Giants anyways? Because you got to think the public's going to come in and hammer the Commanders. This is just crazy to me. So let's roll on here. Doug C says this line seems extremely sharp. Stay away from him. Oh, beautiful, Spenny. Let's rock. Let's do it. Okay, and let's roll. Let's roll on. That is, and it's not. Al Cervic saying Ward's out for Browns with a concussion. He does not have a concussion. He cashed concussion protocol or passed. It's not cash. Passed. It's a neck strain issue, which we know is sort of goes hand in hand with concussions. But yeah, it's just a neck issue at this point. He cleared.
I'm a lot less scared about the healthiness of their secondary, knowing that Pickett and this Steelers offense is on the other side. If that was a question versus the Ravens, I'd be way more concerned.
I feel you. I need to know what happens with this market here with Giants Commanders because it's shocking to see 88% of tickets in cash on the Giants. Let's move on. 1 p.m. Eastern, the Dallas Cowboys 6-3, 2-3 on the road. The Carolina Panthers 1-8, 1-3 at home at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. 59 Fahrenheit, sunny, 4 miles per hour. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have this sitting at minus 10.5. What an ugly card so far. Now we got some great games, the Thursday nighter, and then anything with the AFC North is going to be fun, but there's got some more double-digit favorites here. It's the Cowboys. They opened up minus 10.5 at plus 103. They're now minus 10.5 at minus 103, but this minus 10.5 got up to minus 110. It's come back a little bit. Let's take a look at the total here for this. NFL spreadsheet play of the day is in, and it is Carolina plus 10.5. Wow, that is wildly interesting from our Ron Crawford. Spreadsheet play of the day is in, and it's the Panthers plus 10.5. Wow, that's wildly interesting. Gives us some nice fodder to talk about here. Let's talk about the total in this one. We've seen Terry Walker saying under. This total is at 42. It opened right at this number, 42 minus 108. It's 42 minus 107 right now. No movement on this total at 42. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this Cowboys spot. We have second to find. Here we go. We have 15% of the tickets and 53% of the cash on the Carolina Panthers, and Ronald Crawford on them. So clear sharp money here on Carolina. 46% of the tickets, 64% of cash on the under. This total is not moving. Birdie says Lions and Cowboys are the 2 double-digit favorites that don't cover, he suspects. Cowboys coming off completely dominating the New York Giants 49-17. They beat the Giants by a combined 72 points in the 2 games this year. Outgained them in this last one 640 to 172. That's 640 yards, 12 away from their franchise record. Dak 26-35 for 404 yards, 4 touchdowns in the pick. Brandon Cooks, first 100-yard game since joining the Cowboys in that offseason trade, 13 off of his career high. He had a big one, 173 yards and 1 touchdown. CeeDee Lamb caught 11 for 151 in a touchdown. He's the first NFL receiver with at least 10 catches for at least 150 yards in 3 straight games. Rico Dowdle led the ground attack with 79 yards from 12 carries and a touchdown. As I said earlier when we were talking about the Giants, the Cowboys went 6 for 7 in the red zone. That'd been an area of concern all year for them. They're now 18th thanks to that. 18th in the NFL. Scoring touchdowns on 51.3% of their drives. They completely flummoxed DeVito. I mean, DeVito was just an absolute mess. Sacked him 5 times, hit him 7 times, held the Giants to 0 for 12 on third down. Despite last week's numbers, they're still ranked just 27th, allowing third down conversions 46.7% of the time. Their stats aren't that good. And we just saw them dominate a horrific Giants football team. Panthers coming off extra rest after a 16-13 road loss at Chicago. Bryce Young had another underwhelming performance, 21-38, 185 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. He also ran 3 times for 18 yards. Offense put up just 213 yards and only 12 first downs. 3 of 15 on third down. They haven't been that bad on third down. 19th in the league, converting third down 37.7% of the time. Mike Strawn led receivers with 1 catch for 45 yards. Thielen, 6 catches for 42. Running game non-existent. Chuba just not doing the job. 9 carries for 23 yards. They only made 1 appearance in the red zone. The defense was unable to apply any pressure on Bagent. They're 27th in the league, averaging 1.9 sacks per game. They're last in the league in red zone defense, allowing touchdowns 73.3% of opponent opportunities. But other than that Giants game, that's not being a Cowboys' strength. Very, very interesting to see sharps on the Panthers. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today on the Panthers. Troy, take it away. Cowboys, Panthers.
This game was the one I started to look at. It was like, okay, maybe this is the one I'll net up and take a double-digit favorite. But the Cowboys have not proven that they can cover numbers on the road, especially big ones. They're 2-3 on the road, only covered 1 time, and that was the Giants in week 1. The Cowboys as road favorites of 4 or more at Pinnacle are the home team is 4-0 ATS and 4-1 on the money line. We're talking about spreads that are north of 10, and they're losing on the money line. Most notably, the Titans, they lost to the Commanders, and they lost to the Cardinals most recently. That just blows my mind. They just don't cover these numbers on the road. I don't know why that is. Who do they have on deck? This is one of those games that I come back to last just because I'm not that interested in betting the who do they got next week, Jimmy? Do you know I got it right here.
Cowboys got the Commanders, right, on Turkey Day.
They got they got Commanders. Yep. So they got the Commanders on deck. Well, it's tough. It's a tough game, but I know that so the Cowboys 0-4 ATS. Outside of this Giants game, I'm trying to take out the prime time. 0-4 ATS. The home teams are winning as big dogs, and at Pinnacle, home dogs of 10 or more are 9-1 ATS since 2022, and they're also very profitable. If you look at SDQL, just over the past year and a half, very profitable. But if you push that back a little bit to 2018, it's 22-25 ATS. So a 9-1 trend, and like just these great trends that have happened recently with these big home dogs. If you push it back a little farther, it's not profitable. I don't know what that tells me, but to me, it says something about mob shit. And I thought about it all the time. Something's going on with these big home dogs recently. I'm very interested in taking the Panthers at the 10.5.
I have also become very interested, which means then what is more appealing, the Panthers over 15.5 team total or the Cowboys under 27? And maybe the under is very much in play here, which I didn't think about. Wow. Okay, this is a fun one to talk out. I didn't realize. So of these double-digit dogs, this one's interesting. Panthers here, sharps all over them, and this is a perfect time, to fade the Cowboys here. I think that was just a walk in the park. It's never good to have those types of games here. Now Carolina not feeling good about themselves, so I'm interested in this. I'm interested in Carolina plus 10.5. That with Dallas having a game on deck on Thursday, they just want to get in and out. They just want to get in and out healthy, and they're not going to care about winning by margin or finishing, keeping their foot on the gas throughout this one. I've got to sit and think about how to handle this with the Panthers, whether or not I do want to look at that team total over 15.5, because I do find that somewhat appealing here. I'm interested. Spreadsheet play today is in on Carolina. I'm interested in them as well now, and I hadn't planned on it. Although I do like fading teams off dominant results against weak opposition. Let's roll on. We move on to 1 p.m. Eastern. Tennessee Titans 3-6, 0-5 on the road at the Jacksonville Jaguars 6-3, 2-3 at home with Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. 69 Fahrenheit, sunny 9 miles per hour. Only 5 of us left in the Pub Sports Radio Survivor contest. 20% chance at this point for each of us to pick up the 3,600 American. Let's roll into the line history because the Jaguars I've not used yet. This is an opportunity, a possibility here. From a total perspective, we're sitting at 40. It opened there. There's been a 3-cent move to the under. From a side perspective here, we have these Jags at -6.5, and that's now juiced to -117 at Pinnacle. So this juice started just this evening. This was not a really juice spot. This is basically a pick 'em until about 7 o'clock tonight. Being a move towards the Jags here. I wonder if there's a 7 in the cards. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this Jags spot. We have, find it. Sorry, here we go. We have 16% of the tickets and 26% of the cash on the Tennessee Titans. 75% of tickets, 62% cash on the under. I don't want the Jaguars at this number, but it does feel like a perfect bounce back opportunity for them. Let's talk about the Titans first. They come in off a 26 loss on the road at Tampa. They've dropped 8 straight on the road dating back to last season. Will Levis does not look good on the road. I mean, this Titans team managed 209 yards of total offense, and Levis, 19 of 39, 199 yards in the pick. The Titans couldn't get anything out of their ground game. I mean, we're talking nothing. Derrick Henry and Tyjae Spears combined for 16 carries for just 42 yards. I mean, horrific. Kyle Phillips led receivers with 3 catches for 61 yards. Titans offense continues to struggle in the red zone. 0 for 2 versus the Bucs. They're 31st in the league scoring touchdowns, just 32.1% of their red zone drives. I wasn't going to talk about those numbers until we had more of a sample size with Levis, but it's not changing right now. The defense got pressure. They tried to keep the Titans in the game. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. McCreary had a pick. Titans' third down defense is the worst in the NFL. They allow conversions 52% of the time. They allowed the Bucs pedestrian offense to go 7 of 15 on third down. Now, they held the Bucs to 0-2 in the red zone. I don't understand why it was that stupid game in Houston, for the Bucs, because we had the best 2 red zone defenses in the league going at each other last week. How the hell was I not on the under? I just the last time we had the best 2 red zone defenses going up against each other, we were on the under, and it was in that UK game. It was Titans Ravens.
Yep.
And we were on the under. The market moved towards the over. We didn't care. Now, maybe we were fortunate for cashing that, but that was when you have the best 2 red zone defenses going up against each other, you need to pull the trigger. This Titans team is in trouble here. So Nicholas Petitfrere is being on IR. He's now on IR. So they have now 2 offensive linemen they didn't have because they didn't have Daniel Brunskill either. And then the Petitfrere's backup, Andre Dillard, he's in concussion protocol. And then Sean Murphy Bunting has the thumb injury, so he's inactive. So they're dealing with injuries here. Jaguars received a wake-up call. Soundly defeated 34-3 at home by the Niners, snapped their 5-game winning streak. The 49ers outgained them 437 to 221. Jags only had 12 first downs. They look bad in that 5-possession stretch. A fumble, field goal, pick, fumble, pick. It was their worst home loss since 2019. Trevor Lawrence did not look good. 17 to 29, 185 yards, 2 picks, also lost a fumble. Christian Kirk caught 6 passes for 104 yards, but he made boneheaded mistakes as well. No other receiver caught for more than 28 yards, and Travis Etienne did nothing. 9 carries for 35 yards. They were 4 of 12 on third down. This offense that we kind of think highly of, they're 25th in the league on third down. They get first downs 35.3% of the time. They're 29th in the league in the red zone. That's how bad we think of this offense being this high wire act, but they score touchdowns on just 43.5% of red zone opportunities. Now, defensively, they continue to play well. In the red zone, they're 7th in the league, allowing touchdowns, 45.2% of opponent opportunities. They held the Niners to just 1 of 4 in the red zone. Foye Oluokun had the Jags 2 sacks. Jamal Agnew hurt himself, and Tyson Campbell, a cornerback, an important quarterback, too, with the injuries they've had this year, re-injured a hamstring early in the second half, so he's questionable and probably not going to play this week, but that is not confirmed yet. take it away, Troy. Is this a clear bounce back spot for the Jaguars that make them possible to cover this big number?
It's hard to back the number when you know Vrabel's trends as a dog in general, especially you start looking at these games like, these games versus the Jaguars in the division. But like I've been beating a dead horse on this Jags team. I just don't think this is the team that gets over the hump. A lot of people think that to be the case. I don't think it is. I think they're clearly missing pieces, and particularly on the offensive line and defensive line. But in this, it's just a huge step down in class for them. We've seen what they were able to do against these teams that are just lower class football teams, just a clear quarterback advantage. You got a team coming off a bad ass whooping, and this Titans defense just remains to be seen. I feel like the Titans have always been that team that is going to come out and give gritty defensive efforts, great stopping the run. This just ain't them. They can't cover in their secondary. They're grading out even worse than they're actually covering. And they're bottom 5 in pressure rate on opposing QBs. So you got a team with a rookie QB, a bad defense, a below average offensive line, and a lack of talent at all skill positions for the Titans. It just seems like they fit the mold of a team that the Jags are going to be able to take advantage of. My only concern with the Jags is that at home, I feel like they don't play Jaguar football. It's weird to say it. Like they are so bad at home relative to how they play and the numbers on the road. It just kind of blows my mind. But I did take the Jags and the Browns in a money line parlay. And I just, I'm scared to put any more on. Usually I like to tease teams I really like. I'll put them with multiple multiple pieces and have like 4 or 5 teasers all connected to one. I feel like I wanted that to be the Jags this week, but it didn't turn out to be so.
Birdie says Titans for me. Love this bet this week. This number's 3 points too high already. Titans for me. Sprinkle the money line. No rush to bet. It's only going up. If the Jaguars looked good and they had won 6 in a row, I'd be right there with you. But when a team gets a wake up call like that, and everything that Trevor Lawrence said was perfect, he's going to come play this week. Now, I don't know if I want them to cover the touchdown, but he's going to play. And I didn't realize that Damon and Paco Healy lost with the Bills. Only 4 left, Troy, in our survivor pool. 4 left.
One of them was my recruit, Tim Crowley. T. Crowley's in there.
No. Oh, no.
Yes,
No.
sir.
Oh, no. Well, tell him that I hope he loses. Tell him that. That's
He's got
nice.
the Cowboys. He's got the Cowboys this week, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see.
This is going to be fun. Okay, I am interested in. I'm interested in the Jaguars. Do you see Will Levis continuing? Like this Titans team has lost 8 straight road games dating back to last year. Will Levis looks like a completely different quarterback on the road. Do the Jaguars have a home field advantage that could cause Levis problems again here?
Say that one more time, Jimmy. I'm sorry. I'm reading Birdie in the chat.
Oh, just that, the struggles that the Titans have been having on the road. Well, do you expect that to continue with this somewhat weak home field advantage for the Jaguars?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's where I couldn't figure it out because I know the Jags don't the weak home field advantage. They don't play well, but you also got the Titans home road dichotomy getting in the way of like a clearer picture for me. So, yeah, I don't know what to say on that point.
Al Cervix says teams lose after 49er beatdowns. That is true. Yeah, Doug, see, we're with you on the Panthers spot. This seems like I can't believe there's only 4 of us left. Loshak and I are 2 of them. Oh, God. I could use that 36 Ando American, man. Titans, Jags. God, I'm surprised.
I was in the chat talking to Birdie about, maybe a couple of weeks ago, Birdie was talking about how a teaser at 2.5 and a teaser at 3, it's unprofitable. And if you go look at the numbers, it's true. You tease a 3, it's been way less profitable historically. And it's because, and I should have used the 6 and 6.5, 7. And over 7 as the example, but I just the 3 sticks out to me. Just the 2.5 teasing up, just because I think what that's saying is the books are saying that this is not that big of a favorite. These teams are closer than you expect, right? So when they put that number at 3, that's even more show of strength to why that's not a profitable teaser at 3, but it is at 2.5. It's because of how the bookies are valuing it. So the 6.5, right? The 6.5, they're giving you a perfect teaser lay to get down to money line at -0.5. Those don't turn out profitable in the long run.
They're both in bounce back spots, and I don't really like the Jags to have to cover a full touchdown really here. I did not expect to have any interest in them, but I do like backing teams off of getting wake up calls, and they got a wake up call. Let's roll on. 1 p.m. Eastern. Arizona Cardinals 2-8, 0-5 on the road at the Houston Texans, 5-4, 3-1 at home. Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas. I'm starting to laugh because now I realize why Damon Santori was freaking out in the chat last night. I didn't know why he was so angry, but it's because he had the Bills in the Survivor. Oh man, I would have had more fun with that had I known that he was self-destructing.
Oh, I was right there with you. I had a mental breakdown last night after that first fumble. It's like all the teams I bet on, they fumble on the first play, they throw a pick six. It's just fucking a joke.
Oh man, it was just a it's one of those days for me. I needed it. Let's go Cardinals Texans. Let's break this one down. I think it's a mistake to predict what a athlete who is a elite number 1 overall pick is going to do off of being gone for 11 months. And why? I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know why I was bullish on the Falcons. I don't know why I was. And I felt great about it for a half, but that was one of the bets that because I was so confident in it. And I don't know why I needed to have that kind of bravado here. Yeah. The Texans are -4 right now. They opened up at -5.5. I get why the market is moving towards the Cardinals after watching Kyler Murray last game. Now, it's got to be hard on his body, his first game in 11 months, but he has the ability to keep your team in it and to make plays when it's most important. I mean, they were 1-13 without him. This total opened up at 49. It's dropped a point to 48. Take a look at the cash flow then for this spot. We have, move over here. We have, way too far ahead up. There we go. Cash flow wise, 73% of the tickets, 74% of the cash on the Cardinals. It's moved a 1.5 towards them. Look, I don't want to get all over jump on the hype now. I don't want to, I think that's a very risky proposition for the Cardinals to be a big road dog, a public road dog. 82% of the tickets on the over, just 44% of the cash. So 18% of the tickets on the under and 56% of cash. That's fascinating that much money would be on the under. Dennis Garcia says Houston -4, says screw this spot nonsense. They're building something. They're the better team and they win the game. So, they snap a 6-game losing streak with Kyler at quarterback. They outgained the Falcons 352 to 254. Murray was 19 for 32 for 249 yards and a pick. He also ran 6 times for 33 yards and a touchdown. McBride, 8 catches for 131 yards. Connor returns to the lineup and runs 16 times for 73 yards. And the pass rush looked a little better. 3 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. They still allowed the Falcons to go 7-14 on third down, but that's not a problem for Arizona's defense this year. They're 10th in the league, allowing third down conversions on just 39.6% of opponent opportunities. Their red zone defense struggles. It just continues to struggle. They don't make the big plays when they need to late in games. They allowed the Falcons to go 3 for 4 in the red zone. They're 22nd in the league, allowing touchdowns 60% of opponent opportunities. They need DJ Humphries back. Amari DeMarcado is no longer that important now that Connor's back, but they had 6 inactives, and DJ Humphries they need this week. CJ Stroud, back-to-back game-winning drives in the last minute. What a monster he is. They've stopped talking about Stroud for offensive rookie of the year. It's now Stroud for MVP. 4th rookie in NFL history to have 2,500 passing yards in his first 9 starts. He's just a monster. 470 yards, 5 touchdowns against Tampa. 356 yards in a touchdown against Cincy. He also lost 2 fumbles. Noah Brown caught 7 for 172. Schultz 4 for 71. Nico Collins missed the game with a calf injury. He's listed as questionable this week. With Damian Pierce out of the lineup, Devin Singletary erupted. 150 yards and a touchdown on 30 carries. The offense put up 544 yards of total offense. The defense allowed the Bengals to go 6 for 14 on third down. That's been a problem for them all year. They're 29th in the league, allowing conversions 47.5% of the time. Sheldon Rankins led a pass rush that finished with 4 sacks, 9 quarterback hits. Rankins was responsible for 3 of those sacks. And they're a good football team. Shaquille Griffin, DeAndre Houston, Carson each had picks. They believe in themselves. What do you think here, Troy? Take it away, Cardinals, Texans.
I'm kind of feeling like Birdie is. which is why I ended up where I did on this game. This spread immediately looks inflated to me. But when you talk about X's and O's and just how these teams have been performing, I mean, if you just look at the overall body of work, how can you not back the Texans? They've proven they could win by margin. They prove they cover numbers like this at home. But the Cardinals are coming off a game, like you said, Kyler Murray matters. You could tell in all the metrics and all the performances surrounding him. He makes everybody better. They had their best PFF grade all season as a team. But if you look by individually and by units, every single unit down the line on the offense looked better. The defense looked better because they had better starting field position. Just top to bottom, he had a massive impact on the game. Now you have to take that with a grain of salt because it was versus the Falcons, who are finding out to be very, very fraudulent as the year progresses. And defensively, this unit still is not grading out well. Even though they had their best PFF grades, it was still league average at best. And Stroud, I mean, how could you fade him? He's an MVP candidate, man. He reads coverages. He could throw the ball sideline to sideline. His pocket presence, the way he climbs in the pocket, just everything about this kid is the truth at this point. And the offensive line continues to get stronger around him. But the offensive line does not run block effectively. They cannot run the ball worth a damn. And this defense for the Texans, it grades out well below average. The 31st is as it relates to run defense, 31st in tackling. And that's a big one. People probably pass that one up. I think that's a very important metric because I think it's very realistic. Go watch it. Go watch the teams that are ranked at the bottom of the league in tackling and go watch their football games. They miss tackles. They allow extra yards. And second and short, third and short compared to third and long, getting a few extra yards, massive difference in the game. Massive. The biggest thing to me in this game that got me to move is when you start looking at this spread at 5.5. 5.5, opening that line at 5.5 is a huge sign of weakness. And now that it's starting to dip below the 5, getting down in the 4 region, I think it gets too low when it gets around the 3. But at this 5.5 is certainly a sign of weakness. Road teams that open at 5.5 in the past are 70% ATS, 45% on the money line, and cashing plus 200, plus 180 to plus 220 on when you're cashing 40 to 45% of the time, it's a profitable proposition. The difference is it's the Texans laying these points. So is it the same? Because if you look at all the other samples, who's laying these points? It's the Eagles, the Ravens, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, and the Bills. So now that the Texans are being priced this way, is it too much, or is it saying that this team is for real? Anyways, Pinnacle closed that. Yeah, this doesn't apply no more because we're down to 4 already. But Pinnacle that closed games at 5.5 last year. Road teams were 8-3 ATS, 6-5 straight up. I already backed the Cardinals. I took them at 4.5 today. I seen it getting juiced. I saw I was about to go down to 4. I think 4 is a very important number in this game. And, because the Texans, they can score touchdowns and this defense isn't very good. But I do think the Cardinals keep this one close.
It's a very interesting spot here. Very, very interesting spot. A big move towards the Cardinals. And I would be shocked. There's no way this stays over 65% of the tickets. I always use 60 as the number for public. I think this is sharp action on the Cardinals, not public action. Very curious to see what happens with this line. And Kyler Murray is capable of keeping his team in it. But what we saw from the Texans this past week was the real thing. What we saw with them coming back against the Bucs was, I mean, it wasn't much. Now they're starting to make some type of a statement. I think it's a good look here. I don't know if I'm able to move on it here.
And Jimmy, sometimes FanDuel has the ability and they have the ability to offer the better line for a little bit because they are so public at 4.5. They know they can get bets on the other side, the Texans at 4.5, so they'll leave it open a little bit longer before they drop it down. It's funny because at FanDuel, they're the last book to react. They're the biggest book in the world, the most profitable book in the world, taking the most action because of it. But the public starts aping in come game time, and the line just moves against them, and that's the best telltale sign that you're about to cash. And that's what happened in the 49ers game and the Browns game last week.
Yeah, no, it did.
And a few others closed at 5.5. The freaking Texans, they closed at 5.5 last week. They won outright.
Yeah.
The 5.5 is key, man, for the dogs. When those numbers pop at the open or close, the dog is probably the right look.
Troy is on the Cards plus 4.5, and I'm going to need more time on it. That line's now down to 4. Let's move on to afternoon action. 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4-5, 2-2 on the road at San Francisco 49ers. 6-3, 3-1 at home. Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. 65 Fahrenheit, mostly sunny. 11-mile-per-hour winds. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We have the Niners at minus 11.5. They opened up at minus 11. They shot up to 13. It wasn't a real 13 because it was plus 1. I guess it shot up to, let's say, a 12. Came back to 11, and now we're at 11.5. So we have a half-point move towards the 49ers. From a total perspective, we're sitting here with a 41 at minus 101. This opened up at 42. So we have a 1-point drop here in the total. From a cash flow standpoint, we're sitting here with 13% of the tickets and 48% of the cash on the Buccaneers, 73% of the tickets and 78% cash on the over, and yet it's dropped a point. Buccaneers coming off a big 26 victory at home over the Titans, snapped their 4-game losing streak. It was back to them being a predictable football team. I'd forgotten that they were capable of being very predictable after some of the games they played recently. Thank God I got on them. Jesus, how bad would this week have been if I hadn't have? Mayfield 18-29 for 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. The market was very telling in that game. Mike Evans caught 6 passes for 143 yards and a touchdown. Missed a blatant mistake touchdown. He even said he was thinking about who he was going to give the football to. I don't know if that's true. Sometimes people just, I don't know, but he made up for it. He's a very good wide receiver. Rashad White has continued his strong play. 20 carries for 51 yards, caught 2 passes for 47 yards and a touchdown. The red zone offense continues to struggle. They're 28th in the league, scoring touchdowns just 45.8% of the time. They were 0 for 2 against the Titans, who have a very good red zone defense. The defense was excellent, though. A week after getting gashed by Stroud for 5 touchdown passes and 470 yards, they looked great against the Titans, held the Titans to 209 yards, pressured Levis all day long. Levis, they had 4 sacks, 13 quarterback hits. And that number 1 red zone defense showed out. Held the Titans to 0 for 2 inside the 20. Winfield had an interception. Carlton Tavis, the cornerback, was out, but Jamel Dean did clear concussion protocol and started, thank God, for Buccaneer backers. And Matt Filer, their left guard, was inactive as well with a knee injury, so they're hoping to have him back this week. 49ers bounced back in a big way off their bye. Snapped a 3-game losing streak, emphatically beating the Jaguars in Jacksonville 34-3. They'd scored just 17 points in each of their 3 losses. 30-point mark. They top again. That's the 6th time they've done that this year. Trent Williams back protecting the quarterback. Deebo Samuel confusing defenses. They outgained the Jaguars 437-221. Brock was 19-26 for 296 yards and 3 touchdowns. Here, Kittle scored the 66-yard touchdown. Shout out to Mike Yam, started Pimp Slap play today. It was on Kittle props. 3 catches for 116 yards. CMC ran 16 times for 95 yards, caught 6 for 47 yards, but his TD streak finished at 17 straight games. Niners ran for 144 yards against one of the league's top run defenses. So, they just looked like a juggernaut. Defensively, they looked excellent. Held the Jags to 0 for 2 in the red zone. They haven't been great in that role. They only are 19th in the league, allowing opponents to score 55% of red zone drives. Held the Jags to 4 of 12 on third down. That's where they excel. They're 3rd in the league, allowing third down conversions just 35.5% of the time. They got 5 sacks, 10 quarterback hits on Lawrence. Hufanga had a pick, so did Fred Warner. And now they're huge, huge favorites against the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers have this bend but don't break defense where they, they're bad on third down, but they step up in the red zone. I wonder if this is an under spot with the market moving towards the over with the way they've seen the 49ers. The line going from 42 to 41. Now it is juiced to the over at 41, which means that there's 41.5s all over the board. This under is becoming more and more appealing. Bet Online's got this at 41. They had it at 42.5, and it's all this money on the over. I'm very interesting. Take it away.
I can see the 49ers imposing their will on this Bucs defense, who have shown that versus competent rushing attacks, the Eagles, the Bears, the Falcons, all 3 of those grade in the higher ranks of the rushing attacks in the NFL. They had very, very bad performances, and the bend but don't break, I don't know if that applies to a team that could run the ball down your damn throat. The 10.5 just seems really sharp. And this is back to one of those big spreads, these big home favorites. I would much rather be in the camp of the Panthers. I really think, not the Panthers, the Dolphins. I think the backdoor is much less likely to get breached in a game like that. Whereas in this type of game, I could see the Bucs. They have some weapons on offense, and Baker has been able to take advantage of Mike Evans and some of these deep threats that they have. I just see a lot of variance in this game. Can the Bucs be up 17 in garbage time TD to get them within the number? Yes. Can you see the 49ers winning 42-10? Absolutely. And the under, if that's the case, if the 49ers have the lead, I'll always be concerned that you'll have some late antics by the Bucs to get over that number. And like I said, I just can't. I don't know if the Bucs defense in the red zone will be able to stand up versus this rushing attack.
Yeah, I hear that. Let's take a look here at the. There's my guy Truth Teller in the house. Great to see you, Truth Teller. Let's take a look at the last few road games, not including the Texans game. Obviously, that was a ridiculously high-scoring game for Tampa. But let's just look at the last few road games because I kind of like this Buccaneers defense. I was very confused watching the Texans destroy them. But, before that, the Bills put 24 points on them. Saints put 9 points on them on the road. Vikings 17 points. So they haven't played very many road games. It was that Texans game that just throws us for a loop. So again, if we just look at the outdoor spots here, the Bills only put up 24 outdoors. Saints, so they've only had one other than, they've only had one real outdoor game, and they're pretty good in that situation. I like the under. I'd love to hear, DG, if you could pop in the chat what your thoughts are on the over and on the over, why the over appeals to you. Brady says it will be very hard not to take the Bucs here. Very, very hard. If this line climbs any more, then I'll have to take the Bucs. They've not fallen this badly to be lined like the Giants.
Yeah, if I see like a 13 or something, I will be on the Bucs, but I doubt it gets there. I have this number right around where it is. I actually have it at 10, so I do show value from a number that get home favorites cover in this range.
And one quick look here, because I find this all this money on the over is dropping. It's just quite appealing. San Francisco heads to Seattle and then Philadelphia. They have back-to-back, road spots coming up. Spenny got a 12 earlier. I'm very interested in the under. Very interested. I'm not entirely sure if I pull the trigger. This is one of those totals that might scare me a little bit. There's all this money on the over, and the last time I did this, it didn't keep going to the under. It moved back to the over, so I might just want to keep an eye on it. I doubt this goes to 40.5. I mean, if it does, then that's just a clear buy sign. The under is appealing to me. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers red zone defense can slow down the Niners from putting up touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And, it's that red zone offense that just isn't as dynamic as one would believe or one would expect. But obviously, they're a different team with Trent and Debo back. Okay, I'm looking at the under in that one. Let's roll on. We move to 4:25 p.m. Eastern. The New York Jets 4-5, 2-2 on the road at Buffalo Bills, 5-5, 4-2 at home. Highmark Stadium, Orchard Park, New York, 40 Fahrenheit. Mostly cloudy, 12 miles per hour. The fading the Bills has been the best angle I've had this season. It's just continually working, even when it shouldn't. Like the Bucs should not have covered in Buffalo. I mean, that was just ridiculous. The touchdown and then the 2-point convert was just, so fluky. But the Bills have real problems. Real problems. Now, does that mean that you want to back Zach Wilson against them? Let's discuss here. Jets, Bills, at what point? Something's wrong with Josh Allen, man. You can see it in his face. And is it an injured shoulder? I mean, what the hell is it? But he doesn't have it. But the line has been moving towards Buffalo. Actually, it hasn't here at Pinnacle. I didn't realize it opened up at 8 at Pinnacle. It only lasted there for 3 minutes before it went to 7.5. The Buffalo minus 7.5 so this has moved to 7. So the market's moving towards the Jets. God, it's hard to back the Jets in any form whatsoever. From a total perspective here, we have this at 40.5 at Penny. This is where it opened at 40.5. There's been a 4-cent move towards the under. And then from a cash flow perspective here, We have 49% of the tickets, 44% of cash on Buffalo, so it's pretty even. Then you have 95% of tickets and 96% of cash on the under. That's a ton. Jets coming off that 16-12 loss at Vegas. Their offense was able to move the ball at times. They finished with 365 total yards, but they struggled when it mattered most. Only one appearance in the red zone. Couldn't score a TD then. The New York Jets, they have now failed to score a touchdown on their last 36 drives. 36 straight drives. 0 touchdowns. They're far and away the worst red zone team in the league. 22.73% of TD. They scored TDs on 22.73% of red zone drives. That's 10% worse than the next worst, which is the Titans. Zach Wilson, 23 of 39 for 263 yards and a pick. Also ran 4 for 54. Breece Hall struggled on the ground, 13 carries for 28 yards. Did catch 3 for 47. Garrett Wilson caught 9 for 93. The defense did its best to keep them in it. Held the Raiders to just 272 total yards. Held them to 515 on third down. The Jets D has struggled at times on third down, and it surprises me. But they're just 23rd in the league, allowing opponents to convert 44.6% of opportunities. The pass rush got 3 sacks, 7 quarterback hits. The Jets' red zone defense is 5th in the NFL, allowing TDs just 44% of the time. Jordan Whitehead had a pick. Offensive tackle Dwayne Brown and defensive back Justin Hardy are both eligible to return from IR this week. Not sure if they will, but they're eligible. The Bills are on a short week after an ugly 24-22 home loss to the Broncos on Monday night. They inexplicably had 12 men on the field for the game-ending missed field goal by Will Lutz. I mean, it's just absolutely nuts that you could make a mistake in that crucial moment. Penalty gave Lutz another chance, and he nailed it. Defending their AFC East title, we can forget about that. Now we don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs. The offense has not scored 26 or more points 6 straight games. It matches Buffalo's worst stretch since Allen's rookie season, 2018. And so they fired Ken Dorsey today, offensive coordinator fired. Josh Allen looked bad, man. 15 of 26 for 177 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he lost a fumble. I remember when he was starting out his career and I would be supporting him, and these were the lines he was putting together. I was like, no, wait. And now he's back to these horrific stat lines. He's turned the ball in every game this year except for 2. He's thrown an interception in 6 straight games. Gabe Davis led receivers with 2 catches for 56 yards. Stephon Diggs was held to 3 for 34. How long is it before Stephon Diggs loses it? Probably already has. We just don't know about it. James Cook ran 12 times for 109 yards. He also fumbled twice, losing one of them. 3 for 8 on third down. When was the last time a Buffalo Bills team only had 8 third down opportunities? The defense played okay, but they couldn't get the Broncos off the field. Denver was 8 of 19 on third down. Buffalo's 19th on third down, allowing conversions 41.5% of the time. Denver held on to the ball for 37 minutes and 21 seconds. We've been watching Buffalo's defensive statistics fall apart, and we know why. It's no surprise. You lose Matt Milano and Tre'Davious White long term. Daquan Jones is eligible to return this week, and Micah Hyde. You take those guys out of the defense, of course they're not going to cover big spreads. Of course they can't get their offense on the field. They got pressure on Wilson. They did sack him 4 times and hit him 8 times. This one is fascinating. Very excited to talk about it. Take it away, Troy. Jets, Bills, Highmark Stadium.
These are the 2 reasons I'm unprofitable on the show this week. The last 2 games of the week, the Jets, I lost. The Bills, I lost. So I watched these games very extensively. And, even though I didn't become profitable on the show, luckily, I made out some profit personally because of some bigger bets on the Niners and the Browns, but that doesn't let these 2 off the hook on paper. Again, I can't help but feel like this is a Bill spot, just like it was last week. This Jets team is so bad on so many levels. Zach Wilson, he's definitely incompetent at this point. He's not getting no help from his offensive line, which is 30th in pass blocking and the bottom quartile of the run blocking category. And how about these coaches? Why didn't they get any? I can't believe Nathaniel Hackett's still calling plays. The second half of the Jets game, they had 13 first down opportunities. They passed the ball on all 13 of them. They did not run the ball on first down 1 time in the second half. And in the second half in general, they had 28 passes and 2 runs. That is incredible when you talk about they were playing against the Raiders, who've been gashed on the ground week after week. Yet they come in with a game plan with an incompetent quarterback that they know is struggling, that they know cannot perform, and they don't run the ball. I know that the times they did run the ball, they weren't that effective, but you can't abandon that. You have to continue to run the ball. The fact that you haven't scored touchdowns and you're running this type of offense with the skill you have and the defense you have is unacceptable. I can't believe there hasn't been any changes. It's a quarterback. Someone's got to get fired. I don't know who it is. If it's a player, if it's a coach, somebody's got to go. We got to start cutting slack to this Jets offense because of that. It's hard to say where the Jets are at because I feel like they're being led down. It's the blind leading the blind. And the Bills, they just continue to sputter, unforced mistakes, and a little bit of misleading, right, in my opinion. 4 turnovers, a fumble on the first play, a drop pass in the red zone to turn into an interception on the second drive. You take all the drop passes out, he's now 20 for 26 and 1 interception. The one interception he had was bad, and you could arguably say he threw another turnover-worthy play that I remember specifically feeling lucky that he didn't. They had an unforced fumble on a handoff. They marched the ball 40 yards downfield on 3 plays, running the ball. Then they try to run the ball again. Unforced fumble. Josh Allen just drops the ball in the exchange. He didn't even give James Cook a chance. Drops the ball. Cook kicks it out, recovered by the defense. You can't cap those things. You're right. It's just something about this team that just doesn't look right. There's something missing. I don't know what it is. They're still grading out very, very high in the offensive categories. And I could see it. Like they ran the ball for over 7.5 yards per carry, but they didn't run the ball damn near at all in the beginning of the game. Like they just put it in Josh Allen's hands. And maybe that's the defensive game plan. You just let the Bills drop back the pass. I don't understand what's going on. It's very hard to put my hand down with this Bills team. I can't back any sides of this. I won't be mentally in the right place, win or lose. I'd rather just not do it.
I get it.
Because both sides look appealing at the same time.
I'm going to do this. If Micah Hyde returns, I'm going to be on the Bills. If DeQuan returns, I might be on the Bills. If they both return, I'm definitely going to be on the Bills. If neither of them return, I still find it hard to back the Jets. Now, it's my fault. I've been losing backing them. So I have that bias. There's my guy Big Show Picks in the house. So that's my thing. If they can fortify defensively. I mean, I just don't know. I guess I got to sit with it a little longer. I can't comprehend how bad Josh Allen was last week. I don't get it. And, Dennis talked about what was going to happen with Surtain defending Stephon Diggs. And he said in the chat that this similar thing could happen with Sauce defending Stephon Diggs. But I've just never seen Josh Allen look so bad before. And
I mean, the Broncos weren't even defending the run either. They were definitely putting a lot of attention on Diggs. Go back and watch. You'll see a backer dropping under Diggs almost on every route. And they just complete disregard for the run. Oh, you want to run it, gash us for 20 yards? Okay, you'll eventually pass the ball and fuck up. That's what the Broncos' defensive game plan was.
7 is tricky, but the Broncos scored 2 touchdown passes. How many touchdown passes are the Jets going to score in this game? If the answer is 0, well, then why can't the Bills cover this if they get Micah Hyde back? Daquan's not quite as important as Micah Hyde. So clearly the market's moving for a reason. I'm not going to move on the Bills, but if I can get some fortification on this defense that desperately needs it.
And if the Jets are going to continue to let Zach Wilson drop back the pass more than run, come on, man. It's got to be the Bills. How could you trust this Jets team at all?
I mean, you could say the same thing about the Bills, but I think that this is
At least they made a change. They fired their offensive coordinator. He was clearly out of the realm of reality yesterday, too. There's a reason they fired him. 100%. They should have fired Nathaniel Hackett as well, or Robert Saleh. Let him go. This is fucked up. What's going on?
I think it's going to be a fun spot. Dennis Garcia says Bills got backdoored against Tampa. It was ridiculous that Tampa covered that one. Says so they either win by margin or lose outright. So he laid it because that's more likely outcome. I just want to know. I just need one of those guys back, and I move on the Bills. So I'm set. Micah,
Rance, that's a great player though. Rance brings up the special teams punt coverage. That's a special player returning that football. He's definitely on another level. Devin Hester-esque.
Harold says Bills have issues. Jets can't score. He'll pass. I'm interested. I'm very interested in the Bills. And there's Damon Santori. I thought there was 5 of us left. I didn't realize that's why you were so upset in the live stream. He says his soul is missing. Oh no, Damon. No.
What about the total in this? If we don't think the Jets can score, and the Bills defense at least looked representative against the Broncos.
When, like Dennis says, when was the last time a Bills total was at 40? I mean, it's just. I mean, if the Bills get hot and look, this Bills defense does not look good. In fact, you know,
here you go, Jimmy. Here you go. I mean, this is just under 43. I mean, how long can I extend this out? Under's undefeated, 3-0, under 43.5. You put a 44 on there. Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes sense. I feel like an under maybe a good look.
I don't. I'm gonna the issue. I need to know if Bills can have some sort of fortification defensively, and this Bills offense needs to get right. They need a couple spots where they roll here. You know, back-to-back home games here. I know it's a short week. I'm interested. I'm interested in Bills. So I've locked it in. If Micah comes back, I'm on them. If Daquan comes back, I may be on them. But I'm not looking at the Jets here. I think that the Bills have the opportunity to get right here. Let's move on. 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Seattle Seahawks 6-3, 2-2 on the road at the Los Angeles Rams 3-6, 1-3 at home at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. I was looking forward to talk about this spot right here. Stafford is expected to be under center here, and the Rams are 1-point dogs. They opened up as 2.5-point dogs. They opened up there, and they lasted at 2.5. You know, for about 17, 18 hours to move to 356. This +1 got juiced at times. It's now just a pick 'em here, and it's too bad. It's too bad it's not a bigger number, because I had interest in the Rams, but this just isn't big enough, really. I don't think. But we'll talk it out. This total opened up at 44.5, and it's now up to 46. Take a look at the cash flow. So we have a move to the over. Cash flow wise, we have. Oh, sorry. Let's move over here. Cash flow wise, we have 35% of the tickets, 55% of the cash on the Los Angeles Rams, 61% of the tickets, 72% of the cash on the under. Seahawks coming off a 29-26 victory at home over the Commanders. Third time this season, Geno has led a winning drive in the fourth quarter overtime. 31-47 for 369 yards and 2 touchdowns. DK Metcalf caught 7 for 98. Ty Lockett caught 8 for 92 and a touchdown. Kenneth Walker had 19 carries for 63 yards and caught that one pass for 64-yard touchdown. The pass rush got pressure, 3 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, but the defense continues to struggle in important moments. They let the Commanders go 7 of 15 on third down. These stats for the Seahawks, they don't go away. They're 26th in the league, allowing third down conversions 45.4% of the time. They're 29th in the league, allowing touchdowns on 68.2% of opponents' red zone drives. You know, look, Boye Maffei is a monster. 7 straight games with a sack. And Jason Myers has started to become a clutch kicker. I mean, we watched him go 3 of 6 to start the year, 17 of 18. You know, they have some nice pieces, but those issues defensively, they're not going away, and they're not getting better here. Not getting better. So Jim W. Putt, by the way, saying warm weather team going to cold weather with an awful coach. He wants no part of the Chargers here. Yeah, the line is pretty telling, Jim, in that one. It's going to be such a public spot here, and it's a fascinating game. I can't wait to watch it. Rams coming off their bye week. This team is 8-18 since winning the Super Bowl. They were last seen that 23 loss at Green Bay without the services of Matt Stafford, who's out with a sprained UCL. McVay said that Stafford's on track to start this week. So he said that. He's been saying that for a couple of days. So 3-game losing streak. So, you know, there was talk of the playoffs with this team, and what an incredible job McVay had done. This Rams offense is very dangerous with Stafford under center, because Kupp and Puka Nacua are the real deal. It's too bad Kyron Williams sprained his ankle. He's eligible to return off the IR next week. There's been Whitworth being gone, and there's just been a problem at left tackle, but the interior of the offensive line has been much better than anybody expected it to be. And Rob Havenstein, he's back. He missed 2 games with a calf injury. McVay's optimistic that he's going to play. He really wants him to play. And look at Steve Avila, the rookie left guard's been very good. The problem has been the secondary. They got rid of everybody except for Jordan Fuller in the offseason. We knew it was going to be a problem, and these draft picks are not quite ready yet. They're not getting the big plays. They only have 4 interceptions all year. And then Ernest Jones missed the game with a knee injury. He's expected to be back here. He's their top tackler. There's a lot to like from the Rams. I was just dreaming about a 3. Take it away for us here, Troy. Seahawks, Rams.
If Stafford's quarterbacking in this game, which I'm pretty sure he is, I mean, he is the heart and soul and the engine of this team because he's the one who masters McVay's offensive scheme. Puka Nacua also, he should be back. And no Kyron Williams. And to me, I mean, I'm kind of building a story about the over. Because that's kind of the way I'm leaning. After cashing one over last week, I got a little taste of it. Now I think I want more, especially fading this Seahawks team, which defensively are still way overrated. They've had the 3rd easiest strength of schedule still to this point. Offensively, they're very, both teams, both of these sides are very pass heavy. The Seahawks passing on 61% of downs. It's the 5th highest in the NFL. And, the Rams are right there, top 10, 60% of snaps passing the ball. Seahawks can't pressure. They won't be able to get pressure on, the problem with the biggest hole in the Rams offensive unit is their offensive line. And if they're not going to be able to pressure Matt Stafford, who's very good in the pocket, manipulating the pocket, reminds me of Tom Brady a little bit as he sits in the pocket. These two coaches are very familiar with each other. I feel like they should be ready and should be able to be able to execute offensively. The Rams put up so many points on this team early in the season. And I think the Seahawks can return the favor on this Rams defense, which is good against the run, but bad against the pass. Even more reason that we should see more passing in this game. So take into account some of the bad defense that I think both of these teams have. The fact that they should be passing the ball more this game than they usually do, a higher, versus their expected pass rate. I think it sets up for the over, but I haven't moved yet.
I was surprised that it jumped up. The Rams have an ability to slow everything down, but I do not trust the Seahawks at all.
That's also a big part of it, right? From 44.5 to 46.5. Where are we at now?
That 46 right now at Pinnacle is heavily juiced to the over.
Yeah.
Dennis Garcia on the other side, loving the under. Harold Williams leaning towards the Rams. Al Cervic said if there was ever a Rams spot, this is it. It's too bad that 2.5 is long gone. For I bet 365, the money line's -105.
I would probably have moved on the over if it weren't for the trends that I see so often on these short, less than a touchdown, less than a field goal spreads. They go over at such a high rate, especially the higher they are. It's so hard to say what's about the top. I don't know. It's a tough game.
I'm interested. I'm very interested in the Rams here. Very interested. I think this is a chance. I agree with the season being on the line. Nobody had these high expectations on them anyways, but the issues that the Seahawks are having defensively, 26th in the league on 3rd down conversions, 29th in red zone defense. Those are real. And they're going to haunt them. They haunted them against a weak Commanders team. Not that the Rams are that much better, but situationally, this is a great spot for the Rams off of the bye. Okay, this is a spot where I'm going to keep an eye on. I wonder if you move on the over again. Troy Torrence 11 on X to see what Troy decides to do. But I'm interested in the Rams. This is not a move I'm going to make tonight. Let's roll on. We have our Sunday nighter and our Monday nighter to close out the show. Sunday nighter, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Minnesota Vikings 6-4, 4-1 on the road at the Denver Broncos 4-5, 2-3 at home. We're at Mile High in Denver, Colorado. 50 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy, 7 miles per hour. Let's go into the line history here for this one. Start with the spread. From a spread perspective here, we have the Broncos -2.5 at -102. This opened at -2.5 at -108. Other books have moved it to 2. From a total standpoint here, the total sitting at 43 at -103. It opened up 43 minus 107, so we had a 4-cent move to the over. Let's get to the cash flow here for this one. Here we go. We have a 64% of the tickets and 78% of the cash on the Minnesota Vikings. Then we have 82% of the tickets and 76% of cash on the under. I still don't really believe in what I'm seeing from Minnesota, but it's legit. I'm not saying it's not legit. What I would like to do, though, is have Justin Jefferson announced in and see the market move and then take the Broncos. And it's not like Justin Jefferson is going to hurt them at all, but he's missed 5 games. They've won every single one of them. He's so excited to be with this Joshua Dobbs magic, and it's really happening. Joshua Dobbs is playing very well. 23 of 34 for 268 yards and a touchdown, ran 8 times for 44 yards and a touchdown. It's real, but I still have this need to fade it. Hawkinson got 11 passes for 134 yards and a touchdown. Ty Chandler ran 15 times for 45 yards and a touchdown because Alexander Madison left with a concussion. He is expected to miss the week, so Madison will not be there. KJ Osborne will be back this week, but Jordan Hicks was placed on IR on Tuesday. That's a huge loss. Then you have cornerback Caleb Evans with a calf strain. We're not sure if he's going to be able to play. So the Vikings were able to get pressure on Carr and Winston, sacked the combined 3 times and hit him 7 times. But Marcus Davenport had the tightrope procedure on his high ankle sprain, so he's not coming back anytime soon. He remains on IR. So I do think that the Vikings are more vulnerable here than they have been. Now, they're a good third down defense. They held the Saints to 4-14 on third down. They've been good all year. They allow conversions just 39.5% of times. They are not good in the red zone, 22nd in the league, allowing touchdown 60% of the time. The Broncos are on a short week after getting their third straight victory, 24-22 over the Bills in Buffalo. But I believe in what I'm seeing. I think this is all legitimate for the Broncos. They allowed 181 points, went 1-4 in their first 5. They've allowed 67 points over the last 4 games. They have 16 takeaways over the last 5 outings. They forced 4 turnovers after forcing 5 against the Chiefs. So they've forced 9 turnovers in the last 2 weeks. They didn't get a sack, but they did the job. They got pressure. They're now 12th in the NFL, allowing third downs conversions just 40.2% of the time. They're 15th in red zone defense, allowing touchdowns 52.9% of the time. Russell Wilson is gaining confidence. I mean, you can just see it. 24, 29, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also ran 9 times for 30 yards. Cortland Sutton is now telling everybody that he is, one of the top red zone threats in the entire league. That balancing act with his toes was simply phenomenal. I mean, it was absolutely spectacular. He did lose a fumble, trying to do too much. Javonte Williams ran 21 times for 79 yards, caught 4 passes for 31 yards, a touchdown. It's clear what's happening. Against the Chiefs, they run the ball 40 times. They dominate time of possession, and they win the game. Against the Bills, they run the ball 38 times. They dominate time of possession, 37 minutes, 21 seconds, 22:39, and they win the game. I believe in what we're seeing from the Broncos. And I want Jefferson to be announced in, and I want to move on the Denver Broncos. Now, Birdie says Vikings for him. He says not bet yet, wavering a bit. He says, but my numbers say Vikes money line. Now, if Jefferson's announced in, the line will move. Dennis says he sprinkled Denver Super Bowl 260-1. Well, that's a beautiful number. Take it away, Troy. This is our Sunday night live stream. Broncos were very good to me last night. Got to put a comma in my profits. And I want more Bronco love and more Bronco action. Troy, take it away.
Don't do it, Jimmy. Don't do it. No, I'm kidding. This week, I'm actually hoping the Broncos pull this one out because I'm looking at a look-ahead spot next week that I had already bet. I just want to repeat this because this to me matters. They had 4 turnovers this past week, versus the Bills. Fumble on the first play, an unforced fumble on a handoff, a drop pass that turned into a pick, and the most improbable catch since Next Gen Stats, which dates back to 2018. The most improbable completion since Next Gen. So in the past, 5 years? Whatever it is. This team is, I think, some of it I could agree with you on. I think the offense looks much better with their new run-heavy approach, which I don't know if it's necessarily run-heavy, but it's definitely different from what they were doing wheeling and dealing in the first few weeks. And that definitely helps them on defense, too, because it keeps their defense rested off the field. There's a lot of things going right for them, but at the same time, they cannot stop the run. They cannot stop the run. The Bills rush for over 7.5 yards per carry. They have the worst run defense per PFF in the NFL. They allow the most yards per carry in the NFL, and they're the worst tackling defense in the NFL. A team that's going to be able to run the ball successfully versus them is going to have success. They're going to beat the Broncos. Any team that runs the ball against the Broncos is going to have success. They're going to beat them. The Vikings are not one of those teams, though. So I definitely see the angle here and backing the Broncos. I do think they're definitely a lot better. Don't get me wrong. They're not the defense that they were in the first few weeks, and that's definitely part of the whole scheme change on offense. It's clear as day, but I hope the Broncos win this game because I am going to fade the shit out of them next week when the Browns come into town. So, yeah, no play for me here. I'm just going to be praying to God that the Broncos win this game.
And Dennis has a good point about what the Broncos game plan is going to be game in and game out and how that lends itself to unders. It really does.
And I think Birdie's so right with that. I mean, Wilson, I don't see the confidence out of Wilson at the same time. I'm with Birdie because how much of that offense, third down conversions came off him scrambling around using his legs. And I know that's what he does. Or the little flip shovel pass when he's about to get sacked that, probably have a 20 to 30% chance of being, a devastating turnover.
He's a completely different player on the sidelines this year. If you watch him on the sidelines, last year he was despised. This year they're rallying around him.
Yeah, tail between his legs, almost like feel sorry for himself type of, yeah.
And, Dobbs better be running because if we're going to sit back here and say, Ty Chandler we're going to give the ball to Ty Chandler 25 times. I mean, I think you're in trouble. So I want the Broncos. Now, the question is, if Jefferson is announced out, will it move a little bit in the opposite direction? Do I really think that Jefferson will be in the lineup? Because I don't. I don't think he's going to be in the lineup. I don't. But he wants to be. So maybe I need to. I don't know. I think this 2 is a pretty good number. I think that the under 43 makes a ton of sense too. I think you got to move. I think we move on both of them now, and then set everything up for the SGP 3 for 5, 3 and 2 in same game parlays. Troy, this has got my excitement level very high. Makes these live streams so much more fun when you have a chance at legit scores.
I love you start dabbling with those, man. I really do. It makes me giddy inside. You should start dabbling with the teasers a little bit, Jim.
No, I gotta keep it clean. Man. And I'm only gonna do these. I'm never gonna tweet them out or anything. They're rec bets for me and my friends on our live streams. That's all they are. They're rec bets for me. But
they're all part of the profitability, the P&L at the end of the day, and that's what and it's a favorable thing for you. I don't know what you're doing, man. You got to start putting these out into the world.
Yeah, I'm up 12 units in 5 same game parlays. 12,
and that's why I wanted my SGPs as part of the first 5-6 weeks. All the first games in London, I cashed my SGPs every single week. There's like 5 in a row. I've missed 3 in a row, so there's definitely variance in them, but. I mean, they're definitely part of the P&L, man.
Oh, I feel you. For me, they're just rec bets for my friends and my booze. I like the under quite a bit here. I think that we know what Javonte is going to do. I think that the Javonte props need to be part of the SGP. I'm not going to make an individual bet on them, but we know what's working for the Broncos and Peyton. It's just running the ball. I like it. I think that the Broncos and the under should be moved on. I guess tonight. I'm going to study the Jefferson situation a little more. Let's move on to our final game, our Monday nighter. And do we have a beauty on our hands? Rematch of last year's Super Bowl with both teams coming off of buys. I don't know how it can get better than this for a Monday nighter. And we deserve it for all of the garbage bum fights that we've been watching. Eagles 8-1, 4-1 on the road. Kansas City Chiefs 7-2, 4-1 at home at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. 49 Fahrenheit, showers 7 miles per hour. Let's take a look at the line history here for this one. We'll start with the spread. Sitting here with the Chiefs now -2.5. They opened up -2.5, but that 2.5 got juiced and you could get threes. This 2.5 was at -125 yesterday at 3 p.m. Now it's back to -211. So the threes are not on the board right now. Nary a three to be found, unfortunately. Let's get into the totals here for this one. We have the total sitting at 45.5. 45.5. This opened up at 47.5. It's dropped 2 points since it opened. Let's get into the cash flow. For the cash flow for our Monday nighter, we have 58% of the tickets and 62% of the cash on the Eagles. We have 89% of the tickets and 89% of cash on the under. These Eagles were last seen in a 28-23 home win over the Cowboys, and Jalen Hurts badly needed the week off. Nobody needed to buy more than Jalen Hurts. Bruised left knee for at least 3 games, and he was hobbled, and the run game was diminished. But look at his numbers over his last 3 games. I mean, this guy is a gamer. 8 touchdowns, 1 pick, completed 74% of his passes, in every one of those games, at least 74% of his passes. Very, very, very impressive. Dallas Goedert is hurt. They lose Dallas Goedert. That's a problem. A.J. Brown has been an absolute monster this year. Yes, the consecutive games of 125 yards receiving is over. But I mean, he's just been absolutely incredible. You have Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson dominating on the offensive line. But the secondary has issues. Had issues for a while now. 28th in the league, allowing 257 yards a game through the air. Prescott threw for 374 yards and 3 touchdowns against them. Sam Howell the week before threw for 397. I mean, there's problems. Now, they tried to upgrade the secondary by picking up Kevin Byard, 2-time All-Pro safety. But there are injuries in the backfield, and it's been a problem. Now, can the Chiefs take advantage of that? Because this is not the Chiefs team that we remember. Last season, a 21-14 win over the Dolphins in Frankfurt, Germany. The offense has taken a big step back under Matt Nagy's guidance. They've only scored 27 points twice this year. They've been held under 20 points on 3 different games. And they're not a bad offense. They're 12th in scoring. Now, they put up 41 in that game versus the Bears. They're 7th in total offense. Rashee Rice is the top wide receiver for the squad. 378 yards receiving, 4 touchdowns, 32 catches. Now, we know what Kelce is doing as a tight end. He's a monster, which takes a lot of the pressure off the wide receivers. And in all these years with Mahomes as a starter, 6 of them, they've never had a top 10 defense. They're 2nd in the league in scoring defense and 4th in total defense. They just got Charles Omenihu back from suspension, but they lose Nick Bolton to a wrist injury where he's going to be out at least the rest of the regular season. And Trent McDuffie has been absolutely incredible in coverage. This is the game of the week. It's our Monday night live stream. Take it away, Troy. Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch. What do you think?
God, I wish we had this game earlier on. I'm trying to get hyped back up because I love this spot. And another primetime heater, like you said, Super Bowl rematch. I mean, what more could we ask for? We got the great Thursday nighter, the awesome Monday nighter, and then you got the shit fest on Sunday night with the damn Broncos. But still, this game is beautiful. The Chiefs, in my opinion, okay, I take everything with a grain of salt. I'm going to have a lot of conviction here on my pick. Chiefs were lucky to get the win and cover in Germany. Only 2 of the 2 drives of 5 or more plays. I repeat, 2 drives of 5 or more plays. That is nothing like what we used to see out of the Kansas City Chiefs. And not to mention the first drive with the scripted plays, that was one that went for a touchdown. So you got the first drive with the script, went to plan. Andy Reid, genius. Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback of all time, executes offense like no one else can. But after the first drive, what happened? They only had one drive after that of 5 or more plays. Other than that, you had a touchdown from Rashid Rice breaking one down the sideline. You had a fumble that went for a touchdown. I mean, this is just not who we remember the Chiefs being. And what do you chalk that up to? I talked about it earlier, the offensive coordinator, that the Eagles are kind of struggling with too, but they're putting up points. They might not be as efficient as they were last year, but they're still putting up points. Eric Bieniemy not being the offensive coordinator, not being there to help drive this ship, I think that's making a huge difference, a massive difference. And I say these numbers every week. Patrick Mahomes, he's having the worst of I don't want to say his worst of his career. He's having all the lowest performing, metrically driven, numbers of his career. There's no doubt about it. But it's the lack of everybody around him. Who does he have? He has Travis Kelce. He's awesome, right? But outside of that, very low skill level in their skill positions. And they're very bad at the tackle position. That's not consistent with what we've seen out of this Chiefs team. Their offensive tackles, who are supposed to be the big name players on their offensive line, are performing the worst. And that's 100% the truth. And that's just something we've never seen with this team. So it's just something to take into account. Defensively, they're 22nd per PFF, right behind the Chargers. Now, that might be a little bit misleading, but they're down 5. They're down from 5th last year. So 22nd per PFF this year, 5th last year. That's overall defense. Run D, down from 18th last year to 24th. Pass rush from 9th last year to 21st. And their coverage was 2nd last year. Now it's 18th. Now, I say all this stuff about the Chiefs and not being who they used to be. They're being graded like they always have been in the market, and you'll always have people backing them because of the name, the brand recognition. Also, the Sharps like to back them because the best quarterback of all time under a field goal or around a field goal. It seems like a bargain, right? Andy Reid, also off a bye week, is 25-6 straight up. And I heard this number floating around a little bit in some of the circles I hang around in. 25-6 straight up. But only 5 of those, that's Andy Reid, right? 25-6 off a bye week. Only 5 of those were with Mahomes. All 5 of them were double-digit spreads, except actually one was 8.5. Outside of that, one at 8.5. The other 4 were double-digit spreads. He's 2-3 ATS. That was last year against the Titans. They won by 3 in overtime. The Broncos before that, and then 3 straight games against the Raiders when the Raiders were the worst football team in the NFL. So I discounted that metric. Meanwhile, I look at the Eagles, Super Bowl revenge. It's an angle I like to play. They haven't been as consistent as they were in the past, but they grade out much more consistent than this Chiefs team does. And I mean, a lot of this is predicated. I think that, Jalen Hurts is going to get hyped up. He's going to take whatever he has to get ready for this game. Hopefully we see a lot of the tush push. I don't love seeing the 3, but I do have to say, home teams that close at 3. I'll say this. Okay. Home teams that close at 3 after a market move towards them. We've seen this go from 2.5 to 3. They're only 7-9 ATS. It hasn't actually been that profitable. And then if you look at where I think it's going to finish at 2.5, spreads that open and close at 2.5. The road team is 7-3 ATS, 6-4 straight up. I think the Eagles are going to win this game outright. I'm on the +3. I'm on the money line, and I'll probably be on them just like the Browns. These are my 2 games this week. I'm taking the Eagles and I'm taking the Browns, and I want my profit to depend on these 2 spots.
Eagles +3 and the money line. It's great that you grabbed the +3. I don't think we're going to see that again.
Is it gone now?
Yeah. It's gone. And that's a big score. And the 2.5 isn't even juiced. And
wow, that's awesome to hear. And that's what I was hoping. Looking through the database, yeah, sure, 9 and 7 ATS at the 3. But people don't put a lot of equity into the database. Some of the market movement, I put a lot of it into it. And the recency bias, right? The last year and a half, that's going to be the most representative of what we're going to see. The NFL is an ever changing; it evolves every single year. But also, there's such a small sample in the NFL. So when I see, such a strong trend, the road team is 7-3 ATS, 7-3 on the or 6-4 on the money line at 2.5 when it opens and closes. To me, that's strong shit, man. So I love the Eagles here.
Yeah, I'm interested in them as well. I was curious. I did not think it was going to go up. I mean, there's no chance that it will move to 3.5, but I thought we'd stick around the 3 number. Dennis saying it was the +3 was an early present from the bookies. And talking about a game with such importance where we'll be live for, and there's going to be incredible live opportunities here. But 42% of the tickets, 38% of the cash. It gets off the number of 3 to 2.5. God, the Eagles got to be live. Al Cervic got the 3 as well. Nice job. And then we've seen this total drop from 47.5 to 45.5. Do you agree with that market move towards the under?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Chiefs are going to try to do exactly what we talked about when they were in London. They want to try to keep the other, and they're not going to be able to do so, obviously. Only 2 drives of 5 or more plays. That's incredible. And maybe something changes, but I think that the under is definitely live. It's definitely the side, especially on a Monday night.
Troy on the Eagles +3, also on the Eagles money line. I've got to make some decisions around this game, and I'm not going to move on anything tonight. I mean, because even if it moves to 2, I mean, it's even more telling. It's not a big difference here.
This is a perfect teaser leg, Jim.
Monday night live stream right here on Pub Sports Radio. I can't wait for Eagles Chiefs. And then next week we have the triple header on Thursday. We'll be live for each and every one of those games. Let's review all action here. Week 10 and bounce back needed here. So you haven't tweeted out all of your action yet, right? Is that right?
I have tweeted out some of it piece by piece. I don't think I've tweeted out. I just moved on the. I think I tweeted out. Did I tweet out the Cardinals?
Well, we'll
still there.
Remind me if I've missed anything when we go over everything. Okay. Bengals, Ravens, no action at this point. Troy gets his card started with the Browns. He's on the Browns and the Browns money line, Jags money line, and I want the Browns. I think it's time to put an end to the Steelers' magic, but I also want to see the MRI and hear Deshaun Watson saying he's good. Not that Walker's that big of a downgrade, but we finally saw momentum from Deshaun going 14 for 14 in the second half. And so I think I wait on the Browns, even though that line could work against me. Bears, Lions, we have stayed off. Chargers, Packers, we have stayed off. Troy, you're moving on to Dolphins. I would like to get involved with them too. It's a big spread. And then we have the Giants, Commanders as being a stay off spot. Not a ton of action here. Ron Crawford spreadsheet play today is the Panthers, and I've now become interested in the Panthers at 10.5. It's another spot. When I come off a losing week, I'm much more hesitant. I had a really strong week 3 after getting hurt badly in week 2, and it was a small amount of action. I plan to keep it that way at this point. Titans, Jags, we stayed off, but for those of us in survivor pools, it's an option. Troy's on the Cards +4.5. That's moved to 4. The under in Buccaneers 49ers does appeal to me still. I know that we have Birdie and Dennis Garcia on the over. Because they're both on the over, I don't know if I move on it this evening. I want a little bit time. Matt A says Jimmy wants the Browns after their Super Bowl. I don't know why that would have been their Super Bowl. I don't feel like the Browns are now welcoming the Steelers to town. You don't. I mean, these are enormously important football games, and it's more, Matty, about wanting to fade the Steelers' magic. That just, if you look at them statistically, but again, I'm not going to move on that yet. If Micah or Daquan return to the Bills, I want to have them. I want to back them against the Jets here at home. But I do need that defense to be fortified. Matt A saying, I hear you just not wanting to buy high. I think we're selling the Steelers high. I think that's the main angle for me, is selling the Steelers high. But I hear what you're saying, Matt. It's important. This is a tricky card this week. I'm interested in the Rams, very interested in the Rams. I hate that I'm this late to the party. So I've got a lot of decisions to make here on this card. But there is moves I will make tonight. I want the Broncos. I do not think Jefferson plays. And if he does play, then I should have waited. Which that's so important. If Jefferson plays, the total goes up. Maybe I need to spend more. Maybe I shouldn't move on this Broncos and the under tonight until I really have a better feel for if Justin Jefferson is going to be in line. I think that's imperative now that I think about it. I'd hate for Jefferson to be announced in. It's not going to stop my love for the spot. It would just affect the line. Troy is on the Eagles +3 in the money line. I've yet to move on Monday Night Football. That is our show for today. We have nothing without you guys. Matt A., thank you for the kind words. Doug C., Ravens -3 for 2 units. Rants, Spenny Penny Bombs, Al Cervic, Wrist Ain't Breezy, Blue Numbers, Harold Williams. Thank you guys. You bring so much to the show. Dennis Garcia, Birdie. Thank you guys. Truly, truly. Mac Beavers, you were on one, giving us great info and thoughts and angles. Nate Dogg, 420, Tacky JP, Dan Kelly. We're just so thankful to have the opportunity to work with you guys here week in and week out. And, these bad weeks happen. It's just always about how you bounce back, and got to get up faster than you went down, And so I hope I'm going to get up fast here this week, and I'm excited about the opportunity. But I do find it a tricky card. Troy, I love working with you. Excellent work this year with this 187 game sample size. You're up 7.05 units with an ROI +3.77%. That's good work. Thank you, WT. Enjoy Costa Rica, my friend. Jared TG, all of you guys, thank you. And Troy, any last words here for these cappers supporting the show?
Hey, every week you guys make a difference. You may not think you do. You absolutely do. I appreciate you. I can't wait to meet some of you guys at Pubapalooza. I know some of you guys will be there, and I'm looking forward to that, man. That's going to be a true vacation for me. Real treat. So, hey, let's get this cash this week, man. I coming off that week last week where it was, I don't know how to feel about it. Such a strong start, such a weak finish. Let's go hard. Let's make straight from the start to the finish. We got to cash. So that's the plan.
That is the plan. This is tricky. Usually I attack after the show. Now I'm just going to be sitting and staring at all these spots. Now I don't even know. The Jefferson adds a real level of intrigue. There's a lot of, on a Tuesday night, a lot of market movements to still come out. A huge thank you to our producer, Jose Bouquet. He works tirelessly. He's going to be up all night cutting up these videos. He's going to be ready to rock for Betting with the Bag in the morning. We thank you, Jose, for all the work that you do. And we thank you guys for everything. Now let's go out there and keep rolling. We've had such a good season. I've just had 2 horrible weeks that have put me 63-59, down 2.07 units. And I need the black. I want the black. We had a monstrous Monday night live stream to get almost all the money back that I lost this week in one fell swoop. I want more. Thank you for supporting us. Let's go out there and have a giant week and roll into Thanksgiving locked and loaded. On behalf of all of us at Pub Sports Radio, thank you so much for watching. Now let's go out there and get paid in full.